Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the stream tonight. I got my guy Akoye with me. Akoye, what's up, bro?
What up, man? What up?
Hey, we got to like nail down like this hosting thing, right? Because I just hopped in and I was just like, yo, welcome to the stream. Like, no
All right, yeah,
glitz and glamours or anything.
I'm all fixing my eyes, getting the crud out my eyes. I had a long day, but yeah, all good, man. Let's
Oh
go.
man, you and me both, bro. You and me
Yeah,
both.
yeah. Let me share this to Twitter too, real quick. I'm about to jump on.
Oh
You,
man, you're gonna get everybody in the comments. You're
yeah,
gonna
they're
get
about to
all the
come in and start
trolls.
talking
Oh
shit to you,
yo,
man.
nah, they're gonna talk shit to you,
Like
my guy.
it'd be like, remember, Half Baked when he. No, it wasn't Half Baked. It was Wolf of Wall Street when he threw the watch in the crowd. He was like, "Hit him!" I'm like, "Fuck
No,
you, hit him!"
here's the thing. I'm not the villain on X
Oh, I
yet.
am. Yeah. Oh, I am.
No,
Yeah. They don't like me.
yet. Give it a year or two. I'll
Yo,
be up there with you, bro.
I don't care though, because personally, it's like the way I talk is like based off of just if I could find a fact or find something that's like viable while I'm on, I'm cool with that. Like, so if you want to talk that, I'll talk with you. Most people who are arguing with me are arguing based off of how they feel, and like that's why it seems like so passionate. Because I keep coming back with facts, they keep coming back with feelings, and I'm like, I'm never in my feelings on Twitter. I just look like it because when you read something in your own perspective, it sounds like I'm angry. I'm not mad. I'm just talking how I talk. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I'm a heel on Twitter, it seems. I've become that anyway.
But I mean, that's kind of the Philly way, though. You know what I'm saying? Like we talk in an elevated manner
Yeah.
of speech. You know what
And
I'm
they don't
saying?
even
It's
know
not like
that. They haven't even heard the Philly talk. Like they hear me just coming back at you. But Philly talk is way worse than that. It's like you be getting called all kinds of dickheads and everything. Like that's just how we just say, and that's just a term of endearment. That's not even like I'm trying to fight you. Those not even fighting words in Philly. They're like, oh, dickhead, like you dumb. They're just basically saying that's dumb. You like dickhead. Like what? You ready to kill somebody in Philly if you had a conversation with the wrong person, man. Like, yeah. Like,
man, hey, that's why I stay out of it. That's
nut ass N word is like one of our favorite lines up here. So we talk that all day. Everybody, you nut ass motherfucker. Like that's how we talk. So
bro. You know what's
they
funny?
don't even hear that.
I live like 5 minutes away from Philadelphia. I
Yeah.
haven't been in Philadelphia in like I can't even tell you the last time I've been in Philadelphia, bro.
Yo, I live in Philadelphia, and I can tell you when I say in Philadelphia, I don't go out in Philly. I don't go to clubs really like that here no more. I don't do nothing in Philly. So Philly right now is just like purely business, and I have family here, but I got to get the hell out of here because the way it is here, it's like it's hard not to hurt people in Philly. They make you like so. It's like you got to stay away from people in Philadelphia, man. Philly is
Hey,
definitely a
hey,
different
man,
kind.
that's why I stay in the suburbs, man. I
I
stay
used to
my
live up
ass.
there. I used to live up at Abington, like right around the corner from where you at right now, man. So I
You
just came back in 2019. I came back to Philadelphia like a dummy. I don't know why I did it.
well, Jason Garrett was from Abington, right?
No, but that now that he giving y'all a bad name, I wouldn't even have claimed him and shit. That's like saying Jeffrey Dahmer was from Abington. Like what? No, cut the feed. Like stop.
Hey, you know what? I actually do like him on NBC though. I think he does a
I
pretty
don't. I
decent
don't
job.
like Jason. I don't like Jason Garrett at all, man. You can't say Jason Garrett and like in the same sense, man.
Man,
I don't
hey,
like
hey.
Jason Garrett, man, because it's like he has so much time to just to me drop your sack and do something, man. He just was too. It was like nothing. You know what I mean? It's like neutral. He was too neutral. I'll give him that. Too neutral.
Yeah, no, 100%. Well, let's talk about one of the players that played under Jason Garrett,
Cool.
Ezekiel Elliott. That's
Yeah.
the headliner of this stream right now.
Mm.
To me, at first when he came in, I was just like, hey, Zeke will be he'll be a nice piece, he'll be a short yardage back. Just the mainstream opinion that people had of Zeke. Then I dove into his tape and I was like, yo, this dude is gonna be a legit asset to this team.
Right.
My thing is this: is his main skill his ability to run with power? Yeah, like that is his superpower. But
Right.
that's not all you're getting with Ezekiel Elliott.
Right.
You're still getting a guy who has burst, who has speed. Is it what he once had? No. But the thing is, you're paying him $2 million to come in here and be a part of a committee. Can he be a running back number one for this team? No doubt in my mind. Because what is a running back one? Okay, like, is it the running back that gets the most amount of reps? If that's the case, then he can be that.
Yeah.
Because when I think of a running back number 1, do you have a skill set? Like, do you have a good skill set? He
Mhm.
has a good skill set. We all know what his strength is, but he also brings something other than just his ability to run with power. His
Mhm.
footwork's still good,
Right.
still has burst, still elusive, still makes guys miss. And he can
Right.
also the tape that I saw from his pass protection, it wasn't what it was in Dallas, but
Oh, I'm about to say you
yeah, yeah.
Zeke, to me, it's the tale of two Zekes, right? There's two Zekes, maybe three. There's three. There's holdout Zeke, which nobody ever wants to see. That he was just a big guy, didn't have his footwork. Nobody liked that year, right? But then there's healthy Zeke, and then there's Zeke with a partially torn PCL Zeke, which we saw twice, 2 years in a row, right? So when he's healthy, which he got through the entire last season healthy, when he's healthy, I have no problems with Ezekiel Elliott whatsoever. None. Zero. Not in one category. My issue with Zeke had been when he wasn't healthy, but when he wasn't healthy, we had TP playing with him, and in my opinion, even the reps that we got out of him when he was hurt, he couldn't cut as well. He was more of a north-south guy, and that to me it was just, everybody saw that, so I could understand why people were frowning at the tail end of those seasons when he was hurt. But what no one talked about, and what I think about when I see that is how many people, point to them if you know them, in this National Football League that we have right here, will play for an entire 8-game, 9-game stretch on what Zeke played on, like on a partially torn PCL, MCL, or whatever it was, right? ACL. He tore his knee up and played an entire season almost like that twice. I watched him do it twice. I don't know any other player that has done it or that will do that as a skill position player anyway, not a lineman, not a defensive end. I'm talking about a running back that's required to take hits on that very same knee over and over again and push and thrust off of that knee, playing an entire season twice on a partially torn PCL. Do we want a partially torn PCL? No, I don't think he does either. But the fact that he did that is more of a plus to me than a minus. That's what I'm looking at. So when I look at Zeke, I don't have a negative thing to say about him because I don't know any other players that would do what he did. I don't know any.
Hey, and you wanna know what? I think that, like, is he gonna be as productive as Tony Pollard was last year? We'll have to wait and
Yeah.
see. You
What?
you think so?
Oh.
Well, I'm looking at the fact
Last
that,
year,
like,
last year or the
I
year
know.
before last?
So here's the thing, when I talk about, like, production,
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about, like, yards and, all that others. Is he gonna be, like, that productive? So, like, people might see it at the end of the season, try and come back to this and say, "Oh, no, you guys were wrong because he didn't have as many
No,
yards as
no,
Tony
no, no,
Pollard."
no, no, no,
No,
no.
like, Tony Pollard last year was a guy that they relied on to be the running back 1, quote, unquote. But I would say this, Zeke is a much better fit for what they wanna do
Mm,
than Tony Pollard is, right? Like, if Zeke is on this team,
mm.
you're probably 13-4 last year. I would
Not probably. You are.
I would even go as
Go
far
to
as
the
saying
Miami game and then tell me,
14 and 14. Is it crazy to say 14-3? I think they could have beat Philly.
yeah, I think anytime you see us in the red zone, and you remember in the beginning of the season, we had some red zone woes. Anytime the Cowboys have red zone woes, it's because they don't have a power run game to drive the ball in from within the 10 or within the 20, right? Zeke definitely answers that bell, and he was doing that all the way up until he left. So, and even after the injury, he was doing that. If you go back to I'm going to show it in a minute, but if you go back to the Giants game, his last year here on Thanksgiving, he was already hurt in that game. He had a hell of a game that game. So there's games when Zeke was hurt and healthy, either or, where he was the reason that we won particular games. Like we can't say last year. I can't think of a game that we won because Tony Pollard was carrying the load. I can't think of one. So no, I don't think. I think Zeke is far more productive than Tony Pollard for one reason. You only got to look at one category. Zeke will get you touchdowns, and we play the game to score points, and that's what he does. He's a point scoring machine, and you're not stopping him from within the 5, especially if you're not a lineman or you're not a guy that's hitting them blind and blowing them up. You got to get a run start to stop Zeke. So no, I don't think Tony Pollard was as productive as Zeke would have been in this same scheme. And no, Tony Pollard does not fit the shoddy scheme. And you can tell that, like I said, Royce Freeman these are the types of guys that he likes. He wants guys that when you can see what we're trying to do. When you have guys that can put their head down and run straight through contact instead of running around it only, you can tire out a defense and wear them down and force them, even when they don't want to, you can force them to load the box, which makes a quarterback like Dak very deadly if Dak knows what you're doing with your safeties before the snap, which he does sometimes on his own. He'll figure it out just from pre-snap motions. He'll figure out what you're doing. But if he knows what you have to do to stop Zeke, he knows he's going to get, 8-man, 9-man boxes just to stop him. Even if Zeke gets shit, if he gets nothing, if all he's good for is all this scheme is good for is a power run game, short yardage and goal lines and loaded boxes. If that's all it gets us, it still makes Dak a better quarterback. So still, I think that we're in a better position than we were last year because we don't have a injured Rico or often injured Rico who you don't want to run that often, a Tony Pollard coming off of an injury, and a Deuce Vaughn that is young. We don't really know how to use him yet. We don't have the chemistry with him yet. So now you have an identity and you're not scared to use these guys. You can pull the trigger on all three of these guys as much as you want. And they're the type of backs that want to get run into the ground. They want 30 carries each, but they're not going to get it.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Right. And like to get off topic here a little bit, like when we talk about the offense this upcoming season, like, bro, we've coached before. Like when I'm looking at this offense, people can say like, oh, well, you lost this guy, you lost that guy, you lost this guy.
Right.
I'm looking at it and I'm saying, okay, if Mike McCarthy can do a better job scheming up the run, if he can do better work at a 12 and 13 personnel, if he could do better with scheming up things for Brandon Cooks, if the line is better next year, especially on the interior, you're going to be a better offense. Like you're adding dimensions to your offense that you didn't have last year. Right. And that's what I'm kind of trying to sell to people here, where it's like, I talked about this on Law's show the other day. Talent is not the issue with this football team. I will go to the grave saying you did not lose that game against Green Bay because you didn't have enough talent. You lost that game against Green Bay because Dan Quinn had one of the worst game plans you're going to see in that game. Like, here's my thing. I don't know if you were here for the stream. I ask people this question all the time. I'm like, okay, like what quarterback is beating Green Bay in that game? And they're like, oh, well, Patrick Mahomes could do it. And I'm like, well,
technically, Dak did it.
You're ready?
Go ahead.
Kansas City lost to Green Bay this season. So Patrick Mahomes couldn't beat Green Bay either.
Yeah, I get you. Like I'm talking. I thought you were talking about Dak's rookie year. I got you. Now I get it. Like I thought you were saying like who could have beat Green Bay that year? But
no, I'm talking about
this year. We could have beat him. We could have beat him. Dak still put up 32 on this team. I mean, even though you could say, oh, it's bum time, he still put up 32 in that game. We should have been blown out like nasty.
They were playing prevent defense, even though they weren't playing prevent defense.
They weren't playing prevent
and even if they were playing prevent defense, like it's not easier to score touchdowns against prevent defense. Like the literal name.
That's the whole point. It's called prevent defense.
Like I never understood that. But
they know exactly what you're doing. They know you're not running the ball, so you're one dimensional. And they're playing prevent and you still scoring. But, it's not even about that Green Bay loss. Like when you look at the impact of the scheme throughout the entire year, the one thing that we were screaming all last year we were talking about whether you were on the Micah Parsons should be a linebacker train or not. We all were concerned with the run game and our linebacker fits, right? The entire year. Some people said, hey, we need other linebackers to play linebacker. Others said we want Micah and Evans. But there's no one that can tell me that Evans and Micah Parsons playing linebacker last year wouldn't have translated into wins. And also, probably if they would have done it in the season where they had chemistry and understood how to deliver that, we probably would have won that Green Bay game as well. Because when you look at how Green Bay ended up losing to San Fran, who did it? It was Greenlaw and Fred Warner that were, the difference makers in that game. So linebacker play screamed at us last year, and that was the main scheme issue. It wasn't an offensive issue. It was mainly if you're going to talk offense, it would be the run game, but it was mainly the defensive scheme that sent us home last year. So I mean, the Cowboys addressed that. We're going to actually do videos on that too. But when you talk about the offensive side of the ball and the run game, man, it's like, listen, Dak just needs an option that allows him to take a load off sometimes. When you watched Aaron Rodgers beat this San Fran team 2 years ago when he was in Green Bay, his last year in Green Bay, he had Aaron Jones and it was Aaron Jones, right? And Dylan, right? Yeah, both of those guys. They ran the ball like 37 times. Aaron Rodgers had 190 yards. That's it. 190 yards, was not throwing the ball. He handed the ball off all day, and that's because it was a 1-2 punch that wore this defense, that 49ers defense that's top heavy. He wore them out and wore them down and won the game because of the ground game. Dak never had that option in the last 3 years. He hasn't had that option.
Hey, and think about it like this, right? In that NFC Championship game that the Eagles won, Jalen Hurts didn't play good. Jalen Hurts did not play good in that game.
Right.
When they decided to stop throwing the football and run the football, that's when they started running up the score on San Francisco. Right. Like that, it is a necessity. Like having a good run game to complement a quarterback is just a smart thing to have.
I mean,
right?
Tell me a Peyton Manning season where Peyton Manning won a Super Bowl or looked great without a running game.
Joseph Adai, Edgerrin James, like,
yeah,
and
Marshall Faulk, no Sean Marino.
Let's keep it real. Thank God Peyton Manning wasn't around during the social media days. Thank God. With the weapons he had, I mean, you're talking about Hall of Fame players like Harrison and Reggie
still
Wayne
wasn't winning,
and still wasn't winning. Imagine if he was. I mean, what was his excuse? You know,
he had Pierre Garçon, Dallas Clark, Harrison, and Wayne on the same team with, I believe, Edgerrin James was on that team too. But he had a stacked team, and Jeff Saturday at the center. You know what I mean? You had a line. You know what I mean? You had a defense. You know, Bob Sanders was on that team, and Robert Mathis, I think his name was, and then Freeney. You know, he had guys on that defense that were like, these are players, man, and they still weren't winning. So, yeah, you got a point with all that, man. It's just that people, if you get caught up into that, thinking that you're gonna reverse the narratives, like get them to admit that their narrative is wrong anyway, it's not gonna happen. I just put it out there so that people who understand what they're looking at have something to defend those narratives with if they so choose. And that's just for the water cooler. But you're not going to get the guys who are doubling down on what they believe. I've only seen it a few times where guys are like, oh, Akoye, you changed my mind on this one. Usually it's like, they still argue with you even when you show it to them. Like when I show them what I'm going to show them about Zeke in a second, right? When we go through this film and watch it, because I did a exit video for him when he left, and that's content still relevant. But when I show them that, they're gonna say, "Oh, this is from 2 years ago, or this is from 3 years ago," because it's from 3 and 2 years ago, right? But I'm just referencing what a healthy Zeke looks like, and I guarantee you that's going to be their counter. This is not the same Zeke. Well, you're not the same person you were 30 seconds ago, but this is all we have to rely on, right? So that's all it is, man. You're not going to get those guys to change their mind. So don't stress. I've learned.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not talking from experience. Like, I've been the model citizen when it comes to Twitter or anti-narrative guy, right? But I've learned this year, like, hey, if you see me quiet on Twitter, it's not because someone shut me up. It's just like, it's a lot less stressful in my life when I'm not cursing people out on Twitter.
Hey, I got you out of retirement earlier, man.
Yeah.
This is what I'll say, like, last thing about, because we did go off on like a little bit of a tangent about Dak. What I was told when I was younger was think of playing quarterback like driving a car, right? Okay. So you want to get into a certain lane. Oh, well, you can't get in that lane. There's cars in that lane. Oh, wait, there's an opening. Now you can get your car in the lane.
Right.
Sometimes windows are bigger than others.
Yeah.
And, it's like what I kind of try and say about the quarterback position, where it's like people told me that Trevor Lawrence had a bad year this last year. He didn't have a bad year. I truly think that there were a lot of situations where it's like, all right, like where is he supposed to put the ball in this situation? Like, is he supposed to throw it into this double coverage? Like,
And
what
and,
are we
and,
doing here?
and that's my point. See, like those those arguments right there, right? Who are they formed by? That's the point. Like who's
Exactly.
saying it? That's all that matters. It's not about what's said. It's more about who's saying it and what their perspective is. Because perspective is and perception is reality. So at the end of the day, if you're talking about a person who's watching broadcast, I'm even if you listen to me during a broadcast and just based off of the broadcast, you probably would be like, Akoye is an idiot, right? Because I'll say it about myself. Because when I'm emotionally watching the game or I'm watching the game from the broadcast view, I can't tell what's going on. No one can. That's why they call it coach's film in the first place. You can't tell what's going on during the broadcast. So if you're only assessing any player, Trevor Lawrence, anybody, based off of the broadcast, I can guarantee you it doesn't matter if you are Jimmy Johnson himself, you're going to be wrong. You're going to be wrong. You have to watch the coach's film to truly understand who's at fault at in certain plays. Like for instance, right, when I look at like certain interceptions, I look at Dak's interceptions, right, in the Green Bay game. Live doing the broadcast, I was like, what are you doing? When I watched what was actually taking place during the coach's film, though, I could see not only the route itself, but I could see what the safety did to trick him, right? So I can understand what you're looking at. And now I understand why you would put a ball right in the safety's chest is because you were the route, the spacing on the route that they ran on that interception that he threw to when he was targeting CD, not the one to Gallup where Gallup just got beat for the ball, right? But the one to CD. They were right next to each other running double slants. We already had that issue against San Fran earlier in the year where Fred Warner got an interception off the same thing,
I
right?
hated that
The
concept.
spacing isn't there because they're cutting at the same depth. If both receivers are cutting at that depth, and I wish I had this video chopped up for you, but if they were both cutting at the same depth,
You want me to
there's
pull
no,
it up?
you can pull it up and I can break that down if you have that play. But if they're cutting at the same depth, the safety doesn't have to read anything. He can stand right there. He doesn't have to cheat anywhere. And if he can sit on that, you can't really put that ball anywhere anyway. It's like you tighten the window based off the spacing. Now, if they spaced that out or had the receivers cut at a different depth, then the safety would have to react earlier, and you wouldn't be able to see what he's actually doing. But that was a scheme issue more so than just Dak not knowing what to do with the football. Basically, is what I'm saying. Mike McCarthy needs to space those receivers out a little bit better on those double slants, or stop running double slants. You know what I mean? But
You,
every coordinator has his tell where you're like, why do you do that? Like Kellen
you
Moore
want
with his reverses, right?
you
Go ahead.
want you want the cartel or the wide view?
Um, what's the cartel view is like overhead? Give me that
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Yeah, give me that so you can see the
Okay.
safety.
All right, let's pull this up.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yep. So watch here. Actually, I want the other view. Yep. Boom. But you can still see some of it there. But give me the other view, the
Okay.
sideline view.
God, that's still so painful seeing that.
Yeah, that hurts, man. But like I said, I can live with it once I understand what's going on. So watch the safety. The safety right now is too high, right? So they're trying to figure out what he's doing, right? Boom. Now when they run these, they both cut right now. You see that? Like go back. I can't control it. You have to control it for me. So I'm gonna tell you
Gotcha.
where to slow it up. As soon as they release, stop it. Watch this. Keep going a little bit more. Right there, boom. All right. So right now, that nickel that's sitting there, right, and then the safety that's driving, they don't have to do anything. He doesn't have to read or bell or anything because they're both going to cut. Now play it again. Boom. Watch when they cut. Boom. They both break at the same time. Right. At the same. That's what I'm saying. At the same depth, both receivers broke into their slant at the same time. There's no reaction needed from the safety or the nickel. They don't have to go anywhere. Now, if one of them broke at 5 yards, the other one broke at like 7, you know what I mean? You would already Dak would have already seen a reaction out of either one of these guys, the safety and the nickel, right? He'd have known what they're in. Right now, you still don't know what they're doing. You don't know what they're in. This safety that drove on this slant, He didn't have to drag or carry this across the field. He just drove on it and stood there. Now press play. Boom. That's why he was able to undercut that, because the way that play is supposed to go is, if this is the decoy slant where that you have that safety playing man, are you trying to find out if he's in man or zone, or instead of letting him rob this play, that he's supposed to cut early. That he's supposed to get out there early so you can see where that safety is going, and that will open up that seam slant behind it. But if they're both cutting at the same time, the safety doesn't have to do anything. So I'm not trying to make it seem like Dak didn't throw an interception or take it off of him, but that is bad spacing and bad route combination by the scheme itself. That's not Dak. That put him in a bad position. If he doesn't have time to get rid of that ball, and he has to let this ball go based off of what he was just looking at, when you go right back to right before the interception, so go right back to right before the interception. Yeah, play and then stop right here. Boom. So the nickel blitzed. So Dak is getting rid of this ball hot. That safety is supposed to be, in his mind, carrying this slant across the field, all the way across, right? The safety doesn't have to, because they cut at the same depth. So based off of that, Dak had to let the ball go on the backside. He could have put it on the back shoulder a little bit more and made it a tougher catch, but that's the only difference, is like, he just didn't put it on his back shoulder. Other than that, I understand what he was reading on this play. It looks good, but there was just bad spacing and bad route combination. That's how I look at that. But, nobody who's watching broadcast is going to think that way or look at that and say, there's a problem with the scheme. They're going to say Dak just threw an interception, you know what I mean? Or a bad pass. So you can't assess football without watching coaches' film. There's no way. I can't. No one can. You know what I mean?
Damn, that was a banger.
Yeah, no.
Damn. Hey, flames in the chat for Akoye, man. That was a fire breakdown, man. I learned something today, man.
Yeah, appreciate that, man. But that's to me, it's common sense. But you can't learn it without all 22, man. It's a reason we all want, like, even the first year I started this, I was dying for all 22, because it was like, you can't learn everything off of broadcast. You only can see the end result, and the end result isn't enough. You still need to know the rhyme or reason as to why a guy is doing a certain thing. So, kudos to my hacker guys that get me to all 22. But yeah, you need it. So again, back to your point, it depends on where it's coming from, who's saying it, and what they've watched to make their assessment. So I don't argue with people who are not watching all 22. I'm just not gonna argue with you, because you're not watching it. Like, I've argued with Eagles fans who tell me about Hurts, and I'm like, I'm showing you what your quarterback is doing before you know it, and then he catches up to him. It caught up to him last year in the end of the season. Everything I said before the season caught up to him, but I was an asshole the entire season, all the way up until that point. It's like Akoye is just a hater. I'm not. I'm just telling you what's happening. You know what I mean?
Well,
but let me show you some Zeke footage too, man. Not Zeke. Zeke.
Hey, well, they don't have hot routes in their offense, man. Like, come on, they didn't have hot routes, even though, like, my freshman football team had hot routes.
If you don't have hot routes, you can stop right there. Why wouldn't you have hot routes? What are some reasons, some logical reasons, why a quarterback would not have hot routes in the NFL? What are the reasons? Tell me something that makes sense as to why that would even be a defense in the first place. Why wouldn't you have hot routes? No,
the quarterback can't read them.
Oh, okay, right?
Exactly.
So there's only one reason why you don't have hot routes, is because he doesn't know when to call anything hot in the first place. So you have to predetermine that for him. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. If a quarterback doesn't have hot routes, he's not a cerebral quarterback. And when I said that, I'm a hater. But their coach said we don't have any high route. Okay. Even on the deep play against Seattle, he's like, I called that deep shot. That means the quarterback, that means he's like Ron Burgundy of football. If you tell him to throw it to AJ, it doesn't matter who's on him. He's going to throw it anyway. Remember, they said anything you put on that teleprompter, Ron Burgundy is going to read it. You know what I'm saying? If you call deep shot to AJ, Hurts is going to throw it. That's basically what you're saying when you say, hey, there were open men other places. Hey, he like, I called the deep shot, but he still saw that it's not open. Throw it somewhere else. You know what I'm saying?
And here's the thing, right? Like, because we're going to tie this back into the run game. Like,
Right.
if you have a run game that's effective,
Right.
those looks that Jalen Hurts got in the Super Bowl versus the Chiefs,
Man.
Doc's carving up that defense too if you give him those looks.
I mean, that game, they said the Chiefs showed the reason you had those looks is because that season in particular, the Eagles would let you know that they're going to run the ball literally down your throat, right? They let you know they were going to do that, and that was the way they won. So the Chiefs said, we're not going to lose that way. So they would load the box and say, you're going to have to beat us with your arm. That's what they made him try to do. So they gave him a lot of open throwing lanes. But even the film that I broke down for that reason, because they say that was his best game ever, right? I broke down the film on Jalen Hurts using that game because I was showing even in that game, he was leaving guys wide. He was missing guys that were wide open. Dallas Goddard and Smitty were wide open most of the game. He would have won the game if he just hit two different. It was two plays that he in particular that he missed on. I think one was when he threw to Quez and Quez dropped the ball. They were like, oh, if he didn't drop that ball, it was a diving catch, right? And he drops the
Devontae
ball
Smith was open.
wide open. You know what I'm saying? There was another play when he threw it to AJ and Goddard was wide open. So I'm
Well,
like,
and even that touchdown he threw to AJ, that was a bad decision. Like, the only
oh yeah,
reason
yeah.
why,
You threw it to him in double coverage, but sometimes when you win, you really lose because that play in particular, him being able to hit those back shoulder deep balls to AJ in double coverage made him trust throwing it into double coverage too much. You know what I mean? Sometimes when you do that, you think that it works, but that sets you up when someone looks at your film and your tape, it sets you up because they say, okay, well, we're going to just keep doing that then because the odds are in your favor. Even if he hits that a couple times, the odds are in your favor. And we showed that last year after they played us. Dan Quinn did do that well. They limited AJ for the first time that season, last season. And then after that, AJ just fell off a cliff because everybody just said, oh, the way to stop him is we're not gonna try to press him and throw somebody over the top. We're just gonna play off and make him, get by you with 5 to 10 yards of cushion and some help inside. That's all they did to him the rest of the year. They didn't. If you watch what they did to AJ after our game, it's the same thing we did. We were like, why are we giving up first downs? Dan Quinn was playing off. I didn't like it. I'm not gonna lie and say I liked it, but he played off. And they were playing stack coverage. He played off all day and just forced him to throw underneath. When they made him do that and just gave him all the underneath stuff, they just took all the deep ball away, and that was it. That was it for AJ. He just, he went into oblivion after that. So, that to me is like letting you know, like, listen, if all you're doing is making one minor adjustment and now he can't throw the ball deep because he's not getting the press man that he wants, that's it. That's all it took to stop him and send him on a 6-game losing streak was just stop playing press man and give help inside. That's it. That's all you got to do.
It's
And I'm not
it's the
busting
coach's
because
fault, man.
it was a point where all you had to do to Dak was play too high safety, and you gave him problems too. So,
True.
quarterbacks go through these things, right? When they don't have to face them very much. The film catches up to us all. So I'm not hating, but that's what happened. You know what I mean? But let me put the Zeke footage in here real quick, man. I think matter of fact, hold on. Let me present again. There we go. My bad. Let me share. All right. Boom. Because this is what let me know if you can see this now. Is it blown up on your side? Can you see it? Pull that in.
Let me see.
Yeah, you got to pull it. There you go.
Okay, my bad.
Yep, you got to pull that in. All right, I'm gonna go over to this other screen, so I'm not gonna be able to see what's going on here. But I went back to this film because, and there's multiple reasons. So it's not just Zeke that I'm looking at. I'm looking at a healthy Zach Martin and a healthy Steele as well. So pay attention to the amount of impact that we got out of those guys, and we weren't getting that last year. So the reason I know, not think, that the run game is going to be better this year is because you got a healthy Zeke, a healthy Steele, and a healthy Zach Martin. The rest of those guys, yeah, I think we got better with Cooper Beebe. I obviously know Tyler Smith is better than Connor Williams is in this film here. And then, Guyton is going to be a work in progress, but he's already starting off, in my opinion, with the right mindset, which is let me get better now, not later. You know what I mean? He's working on it now. But watch these runs, man. These are under Kellen Moore. I won't front, so I got to give Kellen this credit for these plays. But watch these runs. Look, this is Zeke when he was healthy 2 years ago. 2 years ago. But look at the impact at the end of these runs. Like this is 2 years ago, and we're going to get in the film of him his last season here too. So I got both seasons, right? So 2022 and 2021 and 2022, right? Both seasons. Boom. But when you watch what he was doing in this game, it was like this is what you're getting from a healthy Zeke. Look at a healthy Steele right here, just killing this man. You know what I mean? Just clearing that out for him. And if we can get this out of Zeke, and I'm fine with it. Like people who say that Zeke can't play anymore, Zeke was still doing this last year with the Patriots. It's just that the Patriots didn't have a quarterback or anything else going offensively. So if Zeke is all you have to stop on any team, then no, Zeke's not going to be the guy. He's not that. He's not LaDainian Tomlinson. You know what I mean? But if you have a viable pass game and a balanced team, Zeke can still do this type of stuff for you, man. The things that he was doing on film to me when he was healthy was fine. And look at the amount of space he has too, though. But both these seasons, he was healthy at the start of the season. He only got hurt halfway through the year. So I only judge you based off of you healthy. But I would treat any player that way, whether it's Dak, CD, Martin, and Steele. I didn't judge Steele and Martin last year either because I know they weren't healthy. But when you're healthy, I want to know what's your productivity when you're healthy. Zeke is not like the bus or Jerome Bettis and those guys late in their career where the start of the season they were playing like Zeke was playing with the knee brace, right? At the start of the season, the bus was what Zeke was when he was hurt, when late in his career. Zeke is not that. When Zeke is healthy, this is what you're going to get. When we're getting good blocks set up, Zeke still was showing great vision. You see still, and you see the lanes that they were giving him though. This is what we weren't seeing last year, and that was a disservice to TP as well, who was also hurt because he didn't get these types of lanes because he didn't get a healthy Steele and Zach Martin. So TP kind of got a raw end of the deal last year. To be honest, I don't dislike TP. I like TP a lot actually, but he got a raw deal because he wasn't getting these types of looks. Like Zeke was getting space and he was getting Steele at his best, Zach Martin at his best. And you saw what the results were when he was healthy. He's giving defenses hell when he's healthy. So all I'm basing Zeke off of is a healthy Zeke. If Zeke gets hurt even this year, I'm not going to say, oh, see, he might get dinged up because of the way he runs. But what he did when he was hurt was what more important to me, which is he still showed up. He still was available, and he's a warrior. So he needs a cast around him. It looks like they're looking to become a power running team, which is what I like because I feel like once you got Zeke out of the way before, you had TP who could hit home runs on you, but you still couldn't use him as a battering ram, right? We have nothing but battering rams on this team now. Whether it's Hunter, Rico, Royce, or Zeke, they all are going to do this type of stuff to you. So you're going to get the same effect that the Eagles had the year they went to the Super Bowl, where when they wanted to run, look at this cut here. Zeke still has great vision and good balance. But when they wanted to run the ball, they could run the ball. The Eagles could, right? You're going to get that this year. I'm going to show this play one more time. Watch the vision here. He's setting up his own blocks. He set that up himself. Zeke still was doing this last year with the Patriots. And then at the end of the run, you got a man on your back. He protected his knees. People don't look at the PhD level understanding of Zeke on this play. Zeke is a very good running back, and the best running back that we had, not named Emmitt Smith. That the best running back that played for the Cowboys, in my opinion, not named Emmitt Smith, is Ezekiel Elliott. Now, look at this run. Let's watch this. I'm going to pause this. Watch this run. Boom. He sets up 28. So he puts him in the B gap on his own. He did that himself with his vision. Then he jump cuts back into the A, right? Boom. Now he has this guy on his back, right? He sees 22. He jumps over him with a guy on his back protecting his knee, because if he doesn't see that, if his vision wasn't PhD level, he tears his knee up right there. We don't have to wait to the Lions game. He would have tore his knee up there. Here, this was coming off of a season where they said Zeke was washed, right? This 2021 season, the 2020 season, they said, oh, Zeke is washed, right? So coming into this year, I was looking at this season. This is versus Carolina that year. This is against a loaded box. So coming into the season, I was watching Zeke in the beginning of that season. I was saying like, hey, what is he? And I was really paying attention to how he was running. When I saw runs like this, when I watched this Carolina game and watched how he managed this game, I said, there's nothing wrong with a healthy Zeke. I don't have a problem with Zeke when he's healthy. He hasn't torn his ACL yet. Hope he doesn't, knock on wood. He hasn't had an injury that makes it so that he can't be as physical as he wants to be, and he hasn't slowed down to a point where he's not effective with the ball in his hand. So to me, I'm fine with Zeke playing. No, he's not the future of the room, but signing a healthy Zeke is not a dumb play. He just did the same thing that I was just saying. This is called pressing the gap, right? So he presses here. So a young running back cuts early, and they'll tell the safety to key in on the A gap too soon. He holds the safety. Zeke is holding the safety just like Dak holds safeties with his eyes when he's looking guys off. Zeke is doing that right now, right? He's holding the safety in the C gap, right? Or the B gap. That's B gap. He's holding him in the B gap, right? On purpose. And then once he gets him to commit and plant his feet, he cuts right back into the A again. And he's doing that. That's Zeke setting up his own blocks. And because he did that, look at how many yards he got on this play. That's all Zeke. So his vision and his ability to assess what's going on right there with the ball in his hand, that's PhD level shit, man. That's not just this isn't talent. It's not like he's just running past guys because he's too fast, or he's just running through guys because he's too strong. This is understanding what a running back is supposed to be doing. That, to me, you can't buy that. You can't say,
Well,
you can go get that somewhere else. Go ahead. What are you gonna say?
Is it cool if I pull up that tape from New England if people want to say like, oh, well, that was 3 years ago?
Yeah, hold on one second. I'm going to give you a second because I'm
gotcha.
getting forward. I know people in the chats are saying, no, this is that's what I said. Stop trying to counter their narrative because that's not our narrative anyway. I'm not saying this is Zeke today. I'm saying this is a healthy Zeke. So the only footage that we can use is healthy Zeke footage. I'm going to show you him injured too in this footage. So be patient with that. But I got you. I'll give you that too.
Definitely.
I got it all in here. But so yeah, I was showing him pressing. But since they said they wanted to see all right, this is him in I'm gonna get to him in 2022. Let me see. I think this is the beginning of the year when you see Cooper Rush is 2022. I'm trying to make sure it's Cooper Rush in there. There's Dak in there. Yeah. Boom. All right, so let's get to 2022.
Yeah, which is still crazy. I can't believe we beat the Bengals that game.
This is him healthy, his last season here, right? Hold on. Boom. All right, here we go. The next play should be 2022. Yeah, so this is him with Cooper Rush. Same thing. So it's not like him healthy, period. Even when Cooper Rush was here and we playing with Noah Brown, still winning. And what were we leaning on? We were leaning on Zeke. So a lot of people gave Cooper Rush only the credit, but Zeke was what we were winning with. We were winning with Zeke while Dak was injured. People forget that, though. They forget that. But we were winning with Zeke when Dak was hurt because of runs like this right here. Like people weren't giving him the credit that he deserves for what Zeke was when he was healthy for us when Dak was out. Like Zeke still is a viable option at running back, in my opinion. And when you get blocks like this out in front of him, which we weren't getting last year for TP, but when you have blockers out in front of him that can actually lower their head and lay the boom and make impact, you can see what Zeke was able to do healthy, and you can see how much trouble he was giving these teams. This is again that same season when we had Cooper Rush and he threw like 2 or 3 interceptions that game. Zeke was the only bright spot in that game. Look at a guy told me earlier, he was like, when did Steele ever block Fletcher Cox? I call bullshit. I hope he's watching right now. Because I sent him this film.
I remember this. I remember that exact
play.
Like,
he took
him from here to here.
Yeah. He's like, when did Steele ever block Fletcher Cox? He doesn't block defensive tackles. I said, yes, he does, fool. But I showed him this film because a guy just said that in my comments earlier. He's like, I'm calling bullshit. He doesn't block Fletcher Cox. He just took Fletcher Cox into next week, like took him all the way across the field. But runs like this, like, can you use a run like that? Can you use this today? I can use this today. You know what I mean? Can you use that today? You know what I mean? He got 5-6 yards after contact on that play. But this is poor design. So if you look at the design of this play, right? Matter of fact, go back. Let me get right through. Boom. So poor design, but he's going to run through it. So there's nowhere to go with this ball. He's already met in the gap by 22. This is all Zeke. vision and contact balance. There was no yards to be gained by most running backs on this play. You know what I'm saying? There's no yards on this play. Where would you go? You know what I mean? He still got 6 yards on that play. So he gets dirty yards, and he was doing that in New England as well. You're going to show that in a second too. But this is what I mean when I say that a healthy Zeke is still a viable option for the Cowboys. You know, this is Zeke. This is Zeke's ability today. Like, he's not injured right now. He didn't get injured in New England. So if he can give us this, I'm perfectly fine with the signing because of what Zeke was able to do. And if he's getting this behind a line doing what Steele is doing right there. Look at 57. Look what Steele does to him. Boom. Like, this is what Steele couldn't do last year, right? And Zach Martin either. So if Zeke's getting that, I'm perfectly fine with a Zeke signing if he's getting that type of line play and he's able to do this as a healthy Zeke. I'm cool with that. But look at the box. Look at the box. Look at that. Getting those types of boxes is crazy. There's a deal against Fletcher Cox again. But look at Zach Martin here and Cox. They both missed their block, right? They both missed their block. Zeke cannot cut this back. There's nowhere to go here. Look at this. There's 5 guys right here, right, that are not being blocked right now. One of them's on the ground, but he can't cut back if he wants to. There's no yards to gain here, right? Would you say?
No.
Okay. What happens? There was nowhere to go with that ball. You get what I'm saying?
Nowhere.
And he still got you 12 yards on that type of play. So this is the game where he got hurt. And even in this game, we just were talking about this backstage. But in this game, he had a hell of a game against the Lions before and after the injury. He should have went up the sideline and not tried to cut this back. I agree there. That was a bad move. But because he likes contact, he tried it. But he should have went out of bounds on this play and lived to fight another play, right? And saved himself. And we wouldn't be talking about this right now. But he got hurt and he's seriously injured there. But I want to show you what he does the very next play, bro. And you tell me, and anybody in the comments can tell me another player that they've ever seen do shit like this after bending their knee backwards. Like, come on, man. This is the very next play. That's
all guts right there. That's all guts, all glory. You could tell, and this isn't even like a slight or anything. You could tell the lift isn't there on that.
Yeah, he was hurt.
Because of the injury. Yeah.
This is after bending your knee backwards. You know what I'm saying?
And that's what I'm talking about. This is a winning player right here. Like, if you want to win football games, Zeke Elliott is a guy that you want on your team. There's a reason why Bill Belichick wanted this guy on his football team.
Yeah, because he looked at him like a Corey Dillon type guy. You know what I mean? You still got some tread left.
And he was an asset to that football team. He was, for a majority of the season, the best player on that entire offense, which, I mean, granted, is.
I mean, that don't say a lot. That don't say a lot. That just says how bad that offense is. But I still get what you're saying though. But go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Last year, he faced loaded boxes 17% of the time.
Right.
Tony Pollard faced loaded boxes 11% of the time.
Right.
So, that's over half of what Tony Pollard was facing. If you want to run loaded boxes at 17% against Dak, please do it.
Like, I'm just saying, like, I don't even want to compare him to Tony because, like I said, I think Tony got a raw deal due to the line. The line wasn't there and he was coming off of injury. So I'm not even going to do it. I'm not like, oh, let me shit on Tony and act like Tony wasn't injured too. Like, no, I don't judge any player that is hurt. I didn't even judge Michael Gallup last year because it was his first year coming off of his injury. You know what I mean? Like, well, no, this was his second year. But I judged them their first year coming off. I don't judge them their first year coming off injury, off of an ACL injury. But so I'm not going to do that to Tony either. I'm not going to do that to Tony. I didn't do that to Steele last year. If you're hurt, you're hurt. I didn't even do it to Tyron, but Tyron came out and actually performed last year. But look, this is the Thanksgiving game with a brace on. People forget that he was running like this even with a brace. So if this is what he was giving me injured, I don't have a problem. I can't say that Zeke's a problem healthy. They're still killing a defensive tackle again. Like, you know what I'm saying? These types of blocks. If you're giving me these types of blocks from Steele and Martin, and you're telling me that Zeke is healthy, these are the results with an unhealthy Zeke. So why would I think that? Yeah, why would I think that BB, Steele, and Zach Martin and Tyler Smith are not going to do better than this? Like, this is what we were getting out of a healthy line when they were healthy. So why wouldn't I think they're going to do better now? Because BB's a beast. Schultz was killing on this play too, man. I think he took out like 3-4 guys.
Well,
but Yeah, their show's knocking another guy down. But this is what he was doing injured, man. Like this type of play is crazy to me. To play this way injured is crazy to me, man. Still and Martin, man, were the anchors of this line 2 years ago. They weren't that last year. Last year, the left side of the line was our strength. Tyron and Tyler were the ones healthy last year. Still and Martin were not healthy. That's why you weren't getting this kind of movement. Look at what they just did right there with Jalen, right? They just moved Jalen, and that's Williams. Leonard Williams isn't a nut. You know what I mean? Look what they just did to those guys. You know what I mean? This is what I want to see this season. And if we're getting this season, no problem with Zeke being here. No problem with Zeke being here, man. The same play again. Look at this. Boom. Look at that combo block. Boom. That's space. They just people movers, man. And Zeke sees that crease and hits it perfectly. He held the gap perfectly and hits that perfectly. So, that's what I have from his last season here. But people don't want to look at that and say, hey, you could take that out of there too. I can stop presenting. Or no, I'll hit stop sharing. There you go. But yeah, people look at that and still say, well, he didn't have 1,200 or 1,300. It doesn't matter, bro. It doesn't matter what you say or show anybody. Like that season, we had 1,900 yards on the ground. TP had 1,000. Zeke had about 800 and some change and 12 touchdowns. And they still were upset with Zeke after that performance. So there's no pleasing these guys. The only reason we were even in the playoffs in the first place for us to get squashed in the first place that season was because of what Zeke did when Dak was out. If Zeke didn't carry the team when Dak was out, him and Cooper Rush, we're not even in the playoffs that season. So that's crazy to me.
Hey, we got a super chat for you, Akoye. I'll let you read that one.
Akoye, you talking Zeke? Look at weak Biadasz too. Yeah, you notice I didn't say nothing about Biadasz because I didn't want to hate him. But Biadasz is he's a guy that has like he's like Puss in Boots, man. He got all the heart in the world, but he's too little. He's too little. Biadasz, when I watched Biadasz get thrown by Fred Warner last year on that play where Fred Warner got met by Biadasz maybe 5 yards off the ball. In the San Fran game, he throws Biadasz and then gets to TP and forces a fumble. Right, that's because Biadasz couldn't do shit with Fred Warner. Right, so and because he's too little. I think BB is the guy because BB is an impact blocker. He's a guy that showed me already that he's just a nasty, feisty player, and he's big, and smart. So the interior line just got a whole lot better if you have a healthy Zach Martin, Tyler Smith, and a BB with a steel that should be able to drive off that knee now. I didn't even name the left tackle because it doesn't matter. Those other four guys are going to move enough people for you to be able to run the shit out of the ball. It doesn't matter if Guyton is just getting in the way of that pass rusher that's over there. It doesn't matter. They're going to kill on the ground as long as they're healthy.
Hey, I got a question for you. Do you think Guyton can be Tyler Smith year one? I'm talking about the left tackle, Tyler Smith year one.
I think Guyton, to be honest, Tyler Smith year one was okay to me, right? I think his footwork was still kind of shitty. But do I think Guyton can be that? I think Guyton as a pass blocker is fine. I think he's fine.
I agree with you. I 100% agree. I think right now he'll come in and he's ready to.
That's what he is.
He's a pro-ready pass protector.
Yeah, he has to learn to be more aggressive and finish in the run game. But as far as the pass game goes, yeah, he's going to protect Dak's blind side very well. But that's if he starts, because you still got Austin Richards, who we don't know what he's going to do. You know what I mean? So, and we got TJ, where we don't know if we want to get TJ Bass on the field that bad or not. So we don't know how bad the coaches want him on the field. If they really want him on the field now, then Tyler may be playing left tackle, or maybe TJ may be playing. Who knows? You know what I mean? But I think TJ's a better interior lineman, to be honest with you. But who knows what's going to happen? But I think if we had to go out there with what I'm assuming will be the lineup, which is Guyton at left tackle, Tyler at left guard, BB at center, and then Martin and Steele, I'm fine with that. But if we're not doing that, you got Chuma, Hoffman, TJ, and Awesome Richards, four other guys that you might see on the field at some point or in some rotation, and you don't mind looking at those guys.
Hey, and let me add this to make people feel better. This offensive line is deep. Like this room is deep. They have a ton of guys on this team that like, hey, Zach Martin's got to miss a game. All right, we got TJ Bass. Hey, the Tyler Smith has to miss a game. We got Brock Hoffman. You know,
Right.
they have so many options that they can go with to where I feel great about the depth in this room to where last year I was like, yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. We were dependent on Josh Ball and who was the other guy? Well, let's go.
Right. Right.
That's not the case this year. I think that the room is a lot better. I'll let you read this one, Akoye. This is
Yeah,
for
he
you.
said, will we first off appreciate you, Glenn Capers, man. He said, will we diversify things? He kind of misspelled that, but I typo all the time, man. But he said, will we diversify our run game, our run scheme this year? More pulls, traps, and counters. Our run scheme had been too vanilla for years. I think that when you look at the last year, I'll show you if you guys want to see it. But if you look at the last year that Shoddy was with Seattle. If you look at that, him and Scolari and what they were doing and how they ran the ball, I I don't think we could have done that last year, right? There's no way we could have done it. So I think it was vanilla, yes, with Kellen. Even though Kellen, I just showed in that film, Kellen was a head scratcher because he had the scheme ability to run the ball very well. I'm not hating on Kellen's ability to draw up run plays. He knows how to do it. He just doesn't think like a guy who wants to be run first. But he has good run scheme when he wants to. But as far as last year, though, you have to really think, and this is what I mean when I say when I listen to narratives, I try to understand who's saying it and what perspective they're coming from. You know what I mean? Because they're not wrong based on their perspective, but when you add the proper perspective, it changes things, right? So let me change things for you now. How aggressive can you be with the run when you have a injured TP coming into the season who's playing on a contract year at that? So he's not going to run as hard because he doesn't have any insurance, right? He's on his 1-year franchise tag and he's injured. He's not gonna be that guy. He's not gonna be a bell cow running like that. I mean, running under those circumstances. But then you have a Zach Martin who hurt his quad. You have a Steele who's still hurt, right? Who can't drive. And these are your two best run blockers. They're hurt. You know what I mean? So of course you're gonna be vanilla there, and you can't play hard nose because you also have a Tyrant who you're trying to manage who's not even practice. None of them are practicing. They're not practicing. You know what I'm saying? During the week, those three players do not participate in practice on a regular basis because they're managing their injuries. You know what I mean? So you're not going to play a power run scheme with a Biadasz. He's not big enough. The only person that you can just say you can rely on that can just nail his guy last year and just show up like a lunch pail guy, it was Tyler Smith last year, right? So of course we were vanilla in our run fits last year because you can't run downhill last year. Even Rico Dowdle is an injury prone back, so they didn't even want to give him the ball that much. You know what I'm saying? So where could you go and rely and just say, hey, we want to run, we want to pin our ears back and go? You couldn't do it. So this will be the first year that Schottenheimer gets to deploy what he actually did in Seattle, which is have a backfield full of power backs and a line that can get downhill and maul guys in front of him. This will be the first year we get to see what he was, or a glimpse of what he did in Seattle. So to your point, appreciate the super chat. Yes, I think you will see exactly what you're looking for. I don't think it'll be a lot of counters or tricks or anything. They run right at you. You know what I mean? So it's going to be a gap scheme, but power. But we'll have an identity, which I think really is more so your question. You know what I mean?
Hey, so we got some more tape here from New England. You
Gotcha.
want to break this one down? You're way
Go
better
ahead.
at this than me.
Go ahead. This looks like a stretch. Let me see. Go ahead. Start it off. Boom. Yep. So he's running off tackle here. That's just easy. That was an easy run for him because the block set up perfectly. You can go back and look at that again. Actually, that was pretty fast.
So the
So
reason why I wanted to bring this up was because I want people to look at how he's running
stop.
with the football.
Stop.
Oh,
You
oh,
yeah,
oh,
you,
oh, oh, oh,
yeah,
my
yeah,
bad.
go back. Yeah, yeah. Stop. Boom. So his patience here, even though he's just getting the ball, but he's patient here. He's setting up his blocks. He doesn't accelerate, doesn't give a linebacker any gap because those linemen don't know where he is. They don't know where he is. They can't turn around and look for him. So he's setting these blocks up himself. So press play. Stop again. Boom. Yep. He bent back inside. He could have straightened out if he wanted to, but he saw that upfield, that receiver is blocking that corner upfield, and he's just gonna take the sideline, which is what you're trying to get to anyway. All running backs want to get daylight. But go ahead, press play. That was a good run by Zeke. And when you look at it, like I said, if you're going to give him these types of lanes and looks, Zeke is going to do fine, man. So I don't think that the doom and gloom talk about Zeke or about the run game in particular is warranted, because you can even pull up some Royce Freeman footage and you'll see like these guys, all of them, Rico footage last year too. Like these guys all have that it factor when it comes to like just being nasty, physical, evil runners. You know what I mean? And you got 3 of them. So knock on wood, they get through the season mostly healthy. You know, running backs don't usually finish fully healthy, but mostly healthy, because it shows that we're going to be able to deliver punches to these defenses now, which we weren't able to do. The reason if you have late game heroics like guys like Reddick, right? Who can get sacks at the end of that game when we played them the first time. That only happens with Graham and Reddick were getting no sacks. You know why that happens? Because you can't run the ball effectively the rest of the game and tire those guys out early. The reason Micah Parsons, who's better than Reddick, in my opinion, doesn't get sacks in those big games, because what do they do to him? They run at him
Running him
in the beginning of those games, tire him out, wear him down, hurt him, chip him, beat him up. And then in the end of the game, they're like, well, Mike is not showing up in the games. Well, because they have a plan for that. If you're just going to line him up on the edge and allow him to get double teamed and stacked and beat, then that's what happens. We weren't able to do that. So, we were letting teams stay fresh the entire game because, yeah, we were running, but we were running we were passing a pass first team and running because people think pass. So that's why we were getting yards on the ground. It wasn't because we're saying, hey, we're running, we're running, and we're going to smack you in the face. Right? We weren't able to do that all year.
And like even with this play right here, like you see his ability to use his legs, his footwork here. Like that is a good run right there because of how bursty he looks on that play, like how explosive he looked on that run. That isn't, a run on the A gap where you're running on the interior. You're getting out in space and getting to a certain spot and using your footwork to get there.
Do you have that screenplay versus the Raiders?
The Raiders. I know which one you're talking about. You want me to go pull that up?
I mean, if you have it. If you don't have it, it doesn't matter. But when you talk about burst, like Zeke still had burst in that game. Like he had burst. Like he's not Zeke. He's not Zeke, rookie Zeke that can run through, run past corners. But he's gonna get through your second level. He can get past, your safeties and your second level players. He can run with the best of them when it comes to that. He's probably more like a 4.6 guy right now, but doesn't matter. He can still run fast enough. You know what I mean? He has enough burst and enough acceleration to make you pay.
And that's the thing that I wanted to like put out there. You're not just getting a short yardage power back. That's not what you're getting with Zeke. He can still move. He can still make plays out in space. And that's something that I think was illustrated by that play right there. Let me double check which play this is. Okay, here's another one where he gets out in space. Again, what I'm saying? Like, it's not easy to run in snow. And he's running hard here. And like he looks good when he's running. Like that's a point that I really want to drive home to people, is that you're not just getting a power back.
I don't understand though. You know why I don't understand?
Why is that?
The people who don't want him the most are the people who should want him the most. Other teams, I've heard Lauren Brunson say he'll take Zeke. You know what I mean? He would have took Zeke. You know what I mean? So other teams respect Zeke more than the team that he bled for. That doesn't make any sense to me. We're trying to convince the Cowboys that Zeke is okay. That's what we're doing right now. That sounds crazy.
Exactly. It's great. That's crazy to me.
It sounds crazy.
Like
to me.
But if you want to take the angle that what he was getting paid in the 2022 season, you're not necessarily.
See, that's why that's how the narratives are bullshit, bro. That's why this is the only reason we exist right now. This new media. Only reason I'm here is because of the bullshit narrative that they put out on Dez. The only problem with Dez was Dak's a young guy. He doesn't understand what he's doing yet. That's all you had to say. End of conversation on Dez, and then it would have been nothing, right? I would agree with you. Okay, he's not going to be as effective because Dak needs to learn how to read the field. Okay, but they didn't want to take a shit on Dak and say that, so they just said it's your fault. Let's give it to all the receivers. None of you can play anymore because Tony Romo's not here. You all became trash overnight, right? That was that narrative, and the narrative that this Zeke was just a trash player or can't play or doesn't have it. I don't know where that comes from or how we're here defending it, but these narratives keep coming out. But that money, the money ball bullshit, it was because people put that out there and said, well, Zeke shouldn't be getting paid that much. So if we were going to talk about it from a fan's perspective, like we're the ones paying him and we want to talk about the money, I couldn't argue that. I said, okay, you're right. Maybe Zeke needs to rework his contract. But that's not the argument as to whether or not he can still play. When you talk about his ability to play, okay. And when you were talking about the money, I can't argue with you. But when you're talking about his ability to be effective on the field, Zeke has only been effective when he's played for the Cowboys. Like, he's always been effective when he played for the Cowboys. 12 touchdowns and 800 yards, splitting carries with Tony Pollard. It's pretty damn good. If he would have took the lion's share of those carries, even in the injured year that I just showed you, if he'd have took 30, 40 more carries, 50 more carries, you know what I mean? He was averaging 3.8 or 3.5, something like that. But if he'd have took more carries, he would have still hit his 1,000 yards, and he'd have probably had another 2 or 3 touchdowns. So 14 touchdowns and 1,000 yards in today's NFL is pretty fucking good, man.
Yeah.
So especially when you did most of it injured. No other running backs are doing that. So to me, I look at it like this, like, how do you come up with a narrative that says that Zeke can't play or Zeke shouldn't be here as a Cowboys fan when that's all he did for you was produce?
And you want to know what, like, back to what you were saying about how he's setting up, linebackers and safeties, putting them in certain gaps and then attacking another gap.
Yep.
You see that on this play right here, right? He gets this linebacker into the B gap.
Yep.
And then he attacks the A gap.
Come on, man. That was a nice run. I can't. You got to control this one. I can't control it for you. But yeah, look at this. So he presses the B, boom, presses that, gets the linebacker to commit to that gap, and now he goes right back into the A. I just showed you this in the other footage, right?
Yep.
So this shows that this is his film. This is what he does. You know what I mean? And this is why he's difficult to play against, because he's not just, stop calling him a power back that just can get you short yardage. Power backs just run straight north to south. He sets up his blocks. That is smart running. That's how you carry it. And that's also how you save yourself, because you don't have guys running right at you. You have guys that are running at you from angles because you're creating angles with your vision. And Zeke has vision, and he knows how to press the gap. So, I mean, that's all I really could say about him, man. Like, I don't want to keep defending Zeke because it's crazy that I gotta keep defending Zeke. Like, the fact that this is still a conversation with the Cowboys fan group is crazy. They should have been celebrating that we got Zeke back, man. That's all.
And I want to bring up something, like, when you talk about just like north to south power backs, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they're gonna cut like this, their footwork, there's going to be a lot more wasted movements with their footwork. There is no wasted movements here.
Yep.
No wasted movements whatsoever on this run. Yep. So, you're right, though. It is a shame that we have to defend him against this fan base, the same fan base that this guy was a warrior. He put it all on the line for this team. He was always a professional. There was some stuff early in his career that, you wish, you kind of just say, hey, look, you were young. But ever since then, this guy's been a professional. Everything that they asked him to do, he never complained about it. Right. You never saw him making a fool of himself in the media. So, yeah, to me, for $2 million, hell, it could have been $6 million. Right. This is an A+ signing because he is an asset to your football team. This is a multifaceted player. He can run, we talked about, with power, but he also does more than just that. He can be a pass catcher for you. You can play him on third downs because he can pass protect. Right. This is a guy that was somebody that in the locker room had a lot of respect amongst the guys. And that goes a long way, especially with the team that we're questioning. Not us, but there's some people questioning, do they have a winning culture with this football team? Do they have the right leaders in the locker room? You get Ezekiel Elliott in there, that is one of the guys who is one of the right leaders in the locker room.
And then when you look at the Zeke signing, they say, because everybody wanted a running back in the draft. Look at Royce Freeman as a well, first he's a free agent pickup, but he doesn't have a lot of carries. So look at him as a old rookie. You know what I mean? A rookie who you could see kind of in the future with, and you know what he is. If Royce Freeman is a guy that you consider a young type Zeke type player, right? And you have Zeke himself behind him or with him in front of him or playing alongside him, and a Rico who we all were screaming for last year. I don't get how you look at the backfield and say we got worse than we were last year, or you're not excited about the backfield because we don't have a rookie running back that you don't know what the hell he's going to do either. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you know the difference between a rookie back that you might have been excited about and Royce Freeman is you know what you're going to get in Royce Freeman in the NFL. You don't, and he's still young, still fresh. You don't know what you're going to get out of a rookie running back. So to me, I like the style of run game that both Royce and Zeke have. They run exact to me. They run similar, except Zeke has better vision. But Royce and Zeke are finishers. They finish runs going forward, and they hurt you. Rico
So
is like
does Rico.
but Rico can
He-
also run around you, and he's like a change of pacey type guy too. But I think all three of them have similarities that you like. They're violent runners, man, that are smart. But if you want your change of pace guy, look at look at
Deuce
no,
Vaughn.
not just Deuce, but you look at Deuce, but you look at what Marty Schottenheimer did when he had Sproles and Ladanian. You got your Sproles type player in Deuce, right? Got a little guy and come in here behind the line. It's a reason they wanted Deuce, and that was a shoddy pick in my opinion. I don't think it was a pick because his dad's a scout. Schottenheimer, that's in his tree, just like guys that can be one cut backs are in the Shanahan tree, like the Clinton Portises and the C-Max, right? Those types of backs are the type of backs that the Shanahan tree likes. And you see a guy like a Deuce, to me, he looks a lot like a Sproles in Marty Ball's era, right? But even when you go back to that, to me, this is the first season that Schottenheimer got an opportunity or is going to have an opportunity to show you, him and Scolari are going to show you what style of ball they want to play. Everybody gave Scolari the credit for the offensive line being bad last year. And I'm like, they're all hurt. They're all hurt. You're trying to manage.
And
How are you managing your people movers? It's like they're bulldozers, right? If you are our pickup truck, if you got to manage your pickup truck, and you're like, well, I can't carry any more loads today because it might break down. Then that's not much of a pickup truck because they're the whole point in it is its ability to be able to move shit all the time and be physical all the time. And we couldn't do that with 4 players on our line. Biada's was too small. The other 3 you were managing. That's bad. Even though they were playing, they're all pass blockers right now. None of them can get off the
and
ball.
and not only that, I feel like you're going to start to see, the Scolari blueprint, or input with this offensive line now because they drafted guys. You know what I'm saying? Like last year, they drafted Awesome Richards in the 5th round, but other than that, they didn't draft anybody in last year's draft. So now they're coming into this system, and Mike Solari's teaching them the type of techniques that he wants in his
To
offensive
deploy
lineman.
it. This is their
And
first year that they're going to
and
show you. Yeah, go ahead.
And here's the thing, right? Like, I don't think this is Mike Solari's last year because I don't believe this is Mike McCarthy's last year.
It's
Like,
not.
I want people to understand this, and you know, I feel like one problem that like creators like you and I who don't have the doom and gloom outlook of this team have been doing pretty much all damn offseason is defending this team. And I get it. I understand why people are upset, but at the same time, let's not get too extreme when we talk about certain things. This offense, year 1 under this new system was the number 1 offense in football. Do you know how often that happens? It doesn't happen very often. Okay, you're going into year 2 with this new system. I
Mhm.
think that Dak's going to have a better year than he did last year. I believe that there are some certain things that he needs to tweak with the offense, but guess
Mm.
what? That's with
That's
every
every offense.
offense. That's even an
But if I have
offense
to
that
tweak
you're
the
in
number
year
1
3, year
offense,
4. Yeah,
yeah,
like that's even
how crazy is that?
offenses. That's offenses that are in their 3rd or 4th year in installation.
You have to do that every season because the tape will catch up to you, man.
The
Eh,
tape will catch up to you, and you have different personnel.
Well, think about it this way. Let's just ask this question. Here's how you frame it so you can not be mad, right? If we were one of the best offenses in the league, if not the best offense in the league last year, right? Come with the start that we had, right? And no real solid run game and a shaky offensive line. How can we not be better shoring up the offensive line and shoring up the backfield? That's what they shored up because there was nothing wrong with Dak in his pass game. Where the problem was we didn't have anything else to rely on if that failed for any reason. We couldn't give Dak any help. So now that Dak has help, we have games. We're going to have games where we can win games without Dak having to carry the team. If the defense is doing what they're supposed to do and the run game is doing what it's supposed to do, you're going to have games where you can save Dak. You can say Dak's going to have 150 yards and maybe 3 red zone touchdowns. You know what I mean? If that, you know what I mean?
Hey,
Off of play action, but he's not going to have to do what Dak had to do all last year. Like the plays that he was making last year, to me, were like some of them were insane. And if you couple that with a solid run game, you only
bro.
got better. You can't say we got worse. So how can we be mad? We were 12-5 3 seasons in a row, which is good, but we could be better, right? We could have been better. And now we've made the changes necessary on defense, in the trenches, and in the run game to say that we are making attempts to be better. Is that all in like we want it, or to the degree that most people's perception would have wanted it to be? I don't know. I don't think so. But to me, it's all in for me because I'm like, that's what I wanted us to. They address what I wanted them to address. So I'm not being, they like, you're drinking all the Kool-Aid. I said, what did I say I wanted last year? Linebackers. Well, we got some linebackers. I didn't like Dan Quinn's scheme last year. Well, we got Zimmer. Happy with that. You know what I mean? I didn't like our linebacker coach. I don't know if he's going to,
McCurley.
McCurley's still here, but I don't know if Gunther is going to allow that bullshit because Gunther was the guy that coached Burfict and those guys, right? And we know
Ooh.
what Burfict was. So we got coaches that know how to coach linebackers in the building, you know, and we got a coach that's not afraid of Jerry in the building on the defensive side of the ball. So cool. Our offense was already good. We got a run game now that I'm excited to watch, you know, and we got an offensive line and defensive line that I'm excited to watch. So I'm really serious that I'm cool with where we are right now headed into the season.
And here's the thing, right? Like Nosy was talking about this on Sky's show that they're
Shout out to
looking
Nosy.
into. Yes, sir. Absolutely. One of the best in the business.
Yes, sir.
So he was talking about that the Cowboys are looking into adding defensive tackle help.
Oh, yeah.
So like, yeah, Linval Joseph is a guy that could definitely be in the cards for. I think they're going to sign him. I think that he'll be on this team by training camp.
I think you're right. If it's not Linval Joseph, it'll be someone that's a senior one tech that can train Mazi and Justin Rogers. They're going to want a guy in the building that can get them up to speed. So just like they have Kendricks, that's going to be the Martiste and the Parsons and the Clark tutor. They're going to have a veteran guy on the front end on the defensive line that can train those guys up too. I think that'll be an obvious signing, 1-year deal. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing, right? Like, I feel like a lot of people would feel a lot better about the one tech situation if you bring in a Linval Joseph or a proven veteran that's not named Carl Davis. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
Yeah.
do think that Mazi Smith will be better in year 2. Because here's the thing. Let me put out this hypothetical to you, Akoye. Right? Jalen Carter is a pass rushing 3 technique, right? Get upfield, get after the quarterback.
Right.
What if I told you, hey, we're going to play him on first and second down on run downs, and we're going to have him play as a one technique and just, hey, just be a run stuffer. He's not going to be as good, right?
Yeah, because that's not what he does, right?
Exactly. Like, Mazi Smith, I think in this scheme, I believe will be better than what he was last year. And I mean, look, we'll see at the end of the day. We'll see.
Bring this film in real quick. Let me bring this in. Let me see if I'm thinking this is the Mazi footage I was talking about. Because you're right. And I think this is his footage. Hold on a second. Let me make sure. Right now you're looking at Wanye Thomas, but this is.
Hey, Wanye Thomas, if people want a good game to go watch Wanye Thomas, go watch him in that Giants game week 1 where he was all over the field.
Yeah. But Yeah, Wanye is a whole different ballgame. I think Wanye is going to be great because Zimmer likes smart safeties. He's going to know what to do with Wanye. I was looking at this though because I didn't know that this is a Mazi right here. No, this isn't Mazi, is it? Let me see. I don't think this one is. No, that's not Mazi. No, that is Mazi. Hold on. This is Mazi at 290. I thought that I was giving him credit thinking that this was him at 340. You know what I mean? 330. This is Mazi at 290, right? So to me, when people say that Mazi was, he did nothing or he's trash, like I look at players like when I was talking about Clark and I said, well, you see big paws on the pup, meaning you can see things in a player's film that if you can get them to do these things at a high level consistently, they'll be good. I saw a lot of that with Mazi. So I don't look at Mazi like as bad as everyone else was like talking about him. I don't look at that. Like I look at plays like this and say, okay, if I can get more of this from Mazi on a regular basis, I'm fine with him. Look at Mazi here. Boom. If I can get more of this from Mazi, why the hell would I be mad at Mazi? I don't have a problem with that. What I had a problem was that we weren't doing any of this. You know what I mean? We weren't doing any of this on a regular basis. I don't know what made him lose weight. I don't know if they told him to,
Hey,
or what.
ooh,
But
I got something on that.
go ahead. Go ahead.
So here's my thing, right? So you hear these stories about, hey, it wasn't Dan Quinn and the staff that had Mozzie lose that weight. Okay, but I'm still going to hold them accountable for that because
You didn't tell him not to.
did you not know that he lost 40 pounds? Like
You didn't
that's
tell him
why
not
I hold
to.
the staff accountable for that. And no beat reporter. Look, shout out to the beat reporters. They do a great job. There's a lot of them that do a great job. But at the end of the day, I'm holding the staff accountable because how do you not know that he's losing all this weight? Like,
Right. And trying to become a guy because you're talking about him like you want to turn him into a pass rusher and you want to get him upfield. To say you want him to get upfield and be faster, he's going to try to get smaller to do that because that's what he's being asked to do. So it's a lie when they say he lost weight on his own. They were talking about him becoming a pass rusher from the moment they drafted him. They said we're going to change his stance and he could be a pass rusher too. Why would you be telling your refrigerator brick wall that it
and
needs to become a sleek, or your Hummer that it needs to become a Lambo? Like, no,
and
be what you are.
you want to know what's funny? So I go the gym I go to, there's a guy who played one technique for Villanova, and I was showing him some of Mozzie's tape, and he was like, no, he's a run stopping one technique. That's what he needs to stay at.
That's
Because
all he is.
and this was before last season because I was telling him like, yeah, they're talking about maybe turning him into like a pass rusher type guy, and then he's like, nah, he's a run stopper.
Look at like this to me, like this footage here. Here he gets moved, right? Boom. He gets himself turned and they cut off of him, right? And this next play, right? Watch this. So watch this. Boom. He's good here because he's in his gap, right? Now he gets himself turned, but that's because there's no linebacker that's playing off of his hip. But to me, like when I'm looking at that type of footage, I'm looking at this film, I'm like, okay, I can see what I can do with a guy who's doing the things that I see Mazi doing on film here. You know what I mean? I can do things with that. If I couldn't find anything, like if he was just getting destroyed and I was asking him to do the things that he did in Michigan, which is be a one tech, and he sucked at that, then I would be like, Mazi's not it. I would say it myself. I don't care if I said, oh, we will draft. I'm not trying to protect Mazi because I picked him out and I said we would draft him and I liked him. If I like you until I don't. I like Clark. I was like, yeah, I can't wait till Clark plays. Now I talk crazy about Clark. So it doesn't matter. I started off talking crazy about Dak, and then he started playing the way I expected or I wanted him to. I don't say shit about that. I'm the biggest Dak defender now. You know what I mean? So it's not about switching based off of what the fans think. It's about what I see on film consistently. And if I can see there's things that I can work on or things I can build around with you, especially when you look at a guy like Zimmer, who's going to take Mazi and say, hey, bro, all I need you to do is be Mazi. Like, do this type of stuff. Look at the way he's playing here. But all I need you to do is be Mazi. I don't need you to be Osa. I need you to be Mazi. This type of play here, like, can I build off of this type of aggression and that type of energy? Yeah. Like, look at this. Like, he's hurting people, man. So I don't look at Mazi as bad as everybody else look. I watch his film. I don't listen to what they're saying. I'm like, that play doesn't go in as a sack. You know what I mean? That's not a sack. You know what I mean? So they're like, oh, he
Hey,
only got one sack, but I'm watching what how he's affecting games. Like, this is effective. You're effective. No problem. Keep doing shit like that. I have no problem with you. You know what I mean? But that doesn't go in as a sack. You know what I mean? So to me, when you look at guys like Mazi and you watch his film and you say, hey, is he something that you can build off of if you ask him to play more his style? Of course he is. Of course he is.
and
There's no way you could say he's not.
I believe that Mike Zimmer put his name on Mazi in terms of him telling the front office, "Hey, this is the guy we can develop. This is the guy that I think under my tutelage, he can take that next step and be the guy that you drafted in the first round." And the reason why I think that is because they still haven't picked up a one technique. I mean, they drafted Justin Rogers, no doubt about it.
Right.
Which I think that's a good pick. I think that's
It
a good
is.
pick in the 7th round.
It is. A
Um,
very good pick.
but I really don't believe that Mike Zimmer is going to go into this season with Mazi as the starting one technique if he didn't believe that there were some things that he can fix
No, he
with
would have
Mazi.
definitely wanted to get rid of him.
Because
But
trust me, Mike Zimmer is a stop the run first type of defensive coordinator. Like he is big
exactly.
on that. Like he is really, really big on that.
But
Um,
they had Mazi playing one tech at 290 anyway.
hey,
How
and you
many
and
how many guys at 290? Like I was
no,
impressed,
absolutely
but once
not.
I found out he was 290, I instantly was impressed because I wouldn't ask Osa to play one tech. He's
Well,
290 too. I wouldn't ask Chauncey to play one tech consistently. You know what I mean? So
no.
to do that, I was okay with it. You know what I mean? I was okay with that.
And here's my thing, right? Like when it comes to this team for next season, last year the Cowboys got no production out of their draft class,
Right.
which wasn't the case the previous year. In 2022, there were so many guys from that draft class that stepped up and played a role in that team. I think that you're going to see the same type of uh, contribution from this draft class.
Mhm.
And also, if they bring in a Calais Campbell or a Linval
Yeah.
Joseph, one of those
Yeah,
guys,
one of those guys, yeah.
hey, on top of Kendricks, that to me is the equivalent to Cooks and Gilmore,
Yeah.
especially if you get production out of your draft
No,
class,
you
which I
need a
think you
guy.
will
If you're gonna coach up a guy like Mazi, you need a coach off the field and you need a coach on the field.
on the field.
Time for every Luke Kuechly, there's a Thomas Davis. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You need a guy on the field that's gonna show you the way. And we didn't have that either. We got a bunch of young guys, or guys who, who was gonna tell Mazi how to be Mazi last year. I mean, you could say Hankins could, but Hankins was more talent than skill set. You know what I'm saying? He's just a big guy. And Mazi didn't have that size coming into the season to be able to follow Hankins in his footsteps. You know what I mean? Like, but he was more so like trying to emulate what Osa's doing. It looks like, you know what I mean? And he's not Osa. You don't have that style. You should never try to play that style of football if you're Mazi. But when you watch this type of play, right? You can't build with a guy that can do this type of stuff as a one tech. You can't build with it. Now that's
Oh
not a
man.
sack either, right? But
No.
is it effective? Is it effective? Yeah. So I watched every snap that Mazi took, and then I made
Mm.
my assessment of him, and I said, can I do something with a guy who can do this? Like, hell yeah. So no problem with him, man. Like, this to me is, that to me shows promise. You know what I mean? So Mazi at 220, I would make him gain weight. You're gonna have to be 220. You know what I mean? But Mazi at
320.
220. I mean, yeah, not 220. Sorry. Don't go to 220, Mazi. But
Hey,
Mazi at like 320, man, I'm perfectly okay with Mazi.
Mazi at 220. Hey, guess what? You're going and playing linebacker, or it's free safety at that point, man.
Right. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
But you
Go
want to
ahead.
know what? One thing that I like is like when you look at the draft class, you look at Marshawn Nealon. He has a mentor in the room, Demarcus
Yeah.
Lawrence. That's
Yeah.
his.
Him, Fihoko, and Chauncey all have D-Law because they all have that style of play.
And now you got a linebacker, Leofau. You got him with Eric Kendricks. Like he's a Mike linebacker. Like
Right.
I truly believe that you have your Mike and your weak side linebacker for the future with Leofau and Overshown. What do you
You
think
do.
of Leofau? Because I know you're a big fan of linebackers.
Mm-hmm. I think I got some film on Leah File. Want me to pull it up?
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Hold on. I think I got them. Let me stop sharing this. You can stop sharing that.
Oh yeah, I got
Let
you.
me see if I got it saved. I don't know if I saved it yet.
because like at that point I was like, damn, I want Peyton Wilson.
I
But then
want
when
to
they
tell you what I
drafted,
think of this kid, man. Hold on. Let me make sure I got this saved. Go ahead, I'm listening to you.
yeah, no, I was thinking about Peyton Wilson, but then when I heard that like he had secondary stabilizers in his shoulder and he only had one ACL, I'm like, yeah, yeah. Look, I
Mhm.
love the talent. I
He
love the
had
talent.
1 ACL?
Yeah, I think the report was that he had one ACL and he had secondary stabilizers in his
Whoa.
shoulder. So let me get the exact uh description here because it was crazy. I think it was Ian Rappaport that reported it too, if I'm not mistaken. I want to make sure that I get my sources correct here. Um Peyton Wilson. Uh yeah, bro, it was crazy what uh was being reported from hold up, let me see. It wasn't Ian Rappaport. I'm trying to find the exact
All
thing.
right, now I can pull these in. Hold on a second. Go ahead, I'm listening to you.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the exact thing because it was bro, it was crazy. Um, but no, like if if Peyton Wilson didn't have that ridiculous injury going on, he's
Yeah, he would have been
probably
my favorite. Yeah, he would have been my favorite.
like no doubt about it. You got the film up of Leofau. I'll
Yep. Yep, I got 2 of them up. So, you can go to either one. But when I think of him, I look at a guy who has range, he's smart, he's explosive, he's Samoan, you know what I mean, evil. Meaning,
that means
Samoans
something.
are fast,
That
physical
means
players,
something.
man, and they all love football. So I know what I'm getting at least from just a cultural standpoint. But then when it comes to what I saw on film, I see a young Fred Warner, man. I'm not bullshit when I say that. And when I say what the reason I say that is Fred Warner will do his job like he did in that game he got the interception on, right? He jumped the rub route against Dak and then got in the lane for a sack. He got a sack because of that. So he jumps the rub route first. That's his job. The sack wasn't his job. He got a sack on that particular play. I see a lot of that with Leofau. Like he'll do his job and then like right here, right? Let me go back on this play. All he's doing here, he's covering on this play, but he'll do his job and then he becomes like his secondary play, or his second move is like, or his second effort, should I say, is still effective, and he's smart. I see a guy that's like directing traffic. I do want him to lower his pad level there so he doesn't get his knees hit like he did right there. That was dangerous. But I just see a guy that played all over the place, has good range. He was effective as a blitzer. He can cover. He's fast. You know what I mean? He can hit. You know what I mean? So I like him, and I look at him as a young Fred Warner type. I think his ability to shed blocks will improve because he sheds blocks kind of with his feet right now. He's a slasher, but he's either going to get better at that. This is another play where I was saying he does his job and then he comes in and he lays the boom here. Hold up.
And Notre Dame's a great program too. I want to add that. Like I understand like, they're not winning national championships, but the
Right,
type of player that comes from that school,
right.
you're not getting dumb players from that school.
Well,
And
go ahead.
and the way like Marcus Freeman talks about him
Mhm,
in such high regard, I think they were on a podcast together.
mhm.
You could tell that you're getting not just a great player on the field, but you're getting a great player, or you're getting a great person
Off the field.
off the field as well, which is that's very important, especially as a Mike linebacker, where
Mhm.
he's essentially the quarterback of your defense.
Yep. On this play, yeah, I agree with you 100%. On this play here at the top of the screen, you see he's blitzing, right? So he blitzes, he recognizes now, and he's all the way engaged with the left tackle right now, right? This is a bubble screen developing underneath him. He's the first man to the ball, and then look at the impact that he makes there. So he's an effort player. I just want to see effort. That's all I wanted to see. And I watched him versus Caleb Williams, and I said, man, I love what this guy is doing. I like what he's going to bring to the team, and I like who they have in front of him. A guy like Kendricks that's going to be able to teach him how to better assess what's going on out there because he's a player that's already smart. He's already smart, already doing his thing. But you see here, forces an interception there, just being busy and being in Williams's face. But he was giving Williams fits, man. He forced the
True.
interception. I think he got a sack in this game, and he kept peeling off of his assignment and still making sure he was effective or in each play. You know what I'm saying? He's just playing spy here. But I saw a lot of good things in this film that made me. I really didn't know who. I didn't watch him, so I don't watch any college football. For those of you who don't understand why I say this, like I don't watch any college football, so I don't. When I watch a player and I start liking a player in college, it's because I watched this film. It's not because the media or NIL or I play. And I don't even play video games, so I'm not playing NCAA and playing with this guy. Like whoever number 8 is a beat. No, I'm not looking at overalls on Madden. None of that. Everything is I watch his film, and if I like it, I like him. If I don't like it, I don't like him. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I like him. This play here is the
Oh, he
reason I
did a
say,
really good job there. He did a really good job disrupting that
yeah, yeah.
crossing concept.
That's why I said Fred Warner. This is what
Yep.
that's what play kind of reminded me of. That play where Fred Warner jumps that rub route against us and then gets a sack against Dak. That's this type of play right here. So he disrupts that rub there, boom. But he doesn't get a sack off of it. But I saw the same style, but he still makes the hit. But I saw that same style of play. I said, oh, he's smart when it comes to coverage. He knows where to be. He understands what he's looking at. So I think that he's going to be a dominant player for years to come in this league.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Marcus Freeman is a guy who I have a tremendous amount of respect for. He's the head coach for Notre Dame, and he gave him a lot of responsibility on that defense. And I don't think that was by accident. Like, I
No,
think that this guy, he played in high school in Hawaii where he was like a rover safety type. That's how he's so damn good in coverage. But he filled out into his body. Like, he has an NFL body right now. Like, this day one, that's a great play right there. He
2
has an
sacks
NFL
though. This
body.
is this is second sack. Like his first one is here. Watch this. Yeah, go ahead. He has an NFL level
And
body. I'm listening to.
and the thing is, like, with Leofau, is he gonna make the same like splash plays that we saw from DeMarvion Overshown in the preseason last year? You might not see the splash plays right off the bat like Overshown from last year, but you're going to see impact day one. Maybe not day one, like obviously he's going to have to grow into his potential as a player. But I think day one, like, if Eric Kendricks has to miss time, I feel comfortable with this guy taking reps at linebacker,
Yep.
especially when you compare it to what we had last year, where
No, he's a
look,
real. I mean, to be honest, like anything is better than what we put out there last year. You know what I mean? But yeah. So that's not saying much, but I do agree. Like he's more than just better than last year. He's a smart player that I think is going to be, like I said, dominant for us, man. And now we have a different problem, which is which linebacker should play linebacker. Because I actually want Parsons to play some linebacker, but then you got him, you got Kendricks. You got Wilson, we still have under contract right now. You know what I mean? Then you have Overshawn that you just mentioned is coming back. So we went from having no linebackers to having a crowded linebacker room with talent,
which
which is a good problem to have.
Hey, I think that this linebacker room could end up being like the safety room where it's just like
It's loaded.
you turn around, and all of a sudden we have a bunch of people at
It's already
linebacker.
there. Like
Yeah.
Overshawn, we know what we got in Overshawn. I'm pretty sure we're right about this guy. You could put the other Notre Dame footage up if you want. I
Oh
think
yeah,
it's
yeah,
almost
yeah.
over.
Yeah, definitely.
You pretty much know what you're going to get with Leofile. You know what Kendricks is. You know what I mean. Clark, I think, has nothing but improvement in him because he can't get any worse than what we saw. So I think Clark will improve. You know what I mean. And then Parsons as a linebacker is the best of them all,
Mm,
in my opinion.
Oh,
Better than all.
you think Mike is going to play more linebacker this year? I'm all for that if that's the case.
Well, if you look at Zimmer, his history, I haven't seen him ever have a small defensive end.
Well, and here's the thing, right? When
No.
it comes to Micah Parsons, his rookie year,
Yeah.
that defense
That's
personnel
the
wise
best. That's the best
was
Micah
not
Parsons.
it was not as good as the defense actually was. That defense looked a lot better because of the impact that Micah Parsons had on that defense his
Correct.
rookie season. And
Correct.
that was doing things on the second and first level. He was a true chess piece. That
Correct.
defense ever since then, I felt like has been a little overrated. And I
Right.
felt like Micah Parsons as a player has been a little overrated since that rookie season because I looked at that rookie season that he had and I said, Like, that year where they lost Gregory and all those guys, I said, this defense is fine because we have that guy and other teams don't. Like,
There
that's
you
the
go.
difference.
There you go.
But the
So,
problem is he didn't remain that guy we saw his rookie season. If
well,
we this
I'll say
season,
this. Go ahead.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, if we can see a return to form, even if it's just what we saw his rookie season, bro, this defense is going to take a completely different, is going to get to a completely different level because unlike, 2021, 2024, we actually have the personnel around him that if we get that same type of performance that he gave us his rookie season, this defense is going to take a completely different, is going to get to a completely different level.
Oh, 100%. Hold on one second. This is a play I wanted to show you. This is another Fred Warner-esque play, right? Watch this. He's going to blitz on this play, and I'm going to get to that Micah conversation in a second. He blitzes. So this is March's Leofile right here, right? He blitzes. He sees what the quarterback is doing, though. He peels off of that and gets right up the seam.
Ooh.
Like, he does his job, and then he gets off, and he has a secondary type of play or a second effort play off of that. And he does this a lot. But when you get back to the Micah Parsons conversation, man, and you look at him as a linebacker, what I say all the time is people don't really think, and that's why I say you got to pay attention to where the information comes from and who, and what their perspective is. Because if you're coming from the perspective that Micah Parsons is the best pass rusher on the team and you shouldn't move the best pass rusher off of edge, right? Because you think that pass rushers only can be effective from the edge, then you're going to have a viable argument every time you open your mouth, right? But when you look at it and say Micah Parsons had 7 sacks from the interior standing up, right? And you realize, well, he can still be an effective pass rusher, can he? Without being on the edge. That's one. But two, the main thing is the reason Micah Parsons didn't do well or didn't play fully at linebacker under Quinn was because of this. He set out his entire 2020 COVID year in college. Still got drafted, though, top 10 or damn near top 10. Didn't play linebacker fully in his rookie year. And because D-Law went down, he got pushed to the end, right? After we realized how good he can be as a pass rusher, he didn't get any reps in the linebacker room really for the years after that. So the other 2 years, he didn't play any linebacker. So you got your best linebacker that hasn't been coached as a linebacker in 4 years, really. He
Now,
hasn't.
what?
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. You were getting to a point.
No, I'm saying he hasn't been in a linebacker room being coached at his natural position for 4 years. So that's why he wasn't asked or trusted to be on the field as the green dot guy under Quinn and all that, because they didn't want to take the time to just say, hey, we might need to pull you back a little bit so that you can go forward and be everything we know you can be. So they just say, all right, we're just going to make you a pass rush savant. But that's limiting Micah. Those who think that are limiting Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons, once you teach him his natural position at the NFL level, which is linebacker, he's unstoppable because of the fact that, one, he's 4'3", two, you can't block him. And if you're putting him in the A gap and saying a running back or a tight end is going to be assigned to stopping Micah Parsons, who's blitzing now, he's not a defensive end, which is accounted for. He's not one of 4 who is accounted for. You know what I'm saying? He's one of 5. He's an extra man, and you don't know when or where he's coming from. And even if you knew, you can't block him anyway. That makes him better, not worse. And people don't understand that. So, yes, Micah Parsons is the best linebacker on the Dallas Cowboys. Will he play more? I think Zimmer is a lot smarter when it comes to football than I am. So there's no way Zimmer watches Micah Parsons' film and says defensive end. And he never had a small defensive end anyway. He likes large run stopping defensive ends. Neil Hunter's not a little guy. Like, he likes length and stout at the point of attack type guys, like Pernell McPhee type guys, D-Law type guys. He likes those guys on the edge. Fihoko, this room, Fihoko, Chauncey, Osa, even D-Law and Nealon, those are the type of defensive ends that he and Slam Williams too. Those are the type of defensive ends that he likes. Guys that are like 270, 280, big guys, that are stout. You know what I mean? So I think Micah will be a guy that they use on third downs there. And on early downs, I think he'll be playing linebacker, man. That's just what I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I 100% agree. I mean, we've gone back,
You can
ever
stop
since
sharing
we
that till
started.
it's over.
Oh, okay, gotcha. We've gone back ever since we started talking about, Micah Parsons playing more linebacker. Like my question is, you know, people bring up the money, aspect. Like, does he want to go back because of the money? My question would be this: if Micah Parsons is a guy that can get you 13 sacks on top of 85 solo tackles, is that not worth every penny? That player we saw his rookie season is worth every penny that he's going to be asking for. No doubt in my mind, because you can take pieces off that defense. And because of how versatile he is and how much he makes up the difference for some lack of, talent in certain areas, that guy is worth that money. But the Micah
Yep.
Parsons that we've seen over the past 2 seasons, I mean,
He's not.
he's not. Yeah, I'm
That's
not going to
not the
beat
best
around the
Micah.
bushes.
That's not the best Micah Parsons. And the crazier thing, that the argument about his pass rush ability, they think that that's shade. I told this to his brother. His brother agrees with what I'm saying. But and you think he agrees with me and Micah is not agreeing? Like this,
Yeah.
so obviously Micah must agree, because his brother not gonna go say some shit that Micah's looking at him like, yo, bro, why you say that on national TV, or why you say that on YouTube,
Trust me.
bro? Like, what's
He
up with you?
will, bro,
Yeah.
yo,
So
Pete will tell you
yeah,
what's on his mind and even on Micah's mind.
exactly. So they know, like, listen, there's nothing better than Micah Parsons when he can move around, and not off ball Fred Warner only. He can do the things that we just looked at Leofu and say he can do. Like, hey, he can make his play, and then he can make an effort play and do something else. Micah done that already. Like most of the plays that we liked from Micah, especially like his second year, I think in that Detroit game, he missed on a pass rush, then chases the tight end down and forces a fumble at the goal line. Like those types of plays, man. Or that play where LVE forces a fumble, Micah runs it back for a touchdown like a running back. Like Micah can do things like the Giants game where they thought they isolated him on Galladay, and he carries Galladay up the sideline and perfectly does a better job than AB
He's the
did
best
all his
athlete.
career at
He
turning around and knocking the ball down. He did it against he's covering Kirk, I think it was, for the Saints. I don't know who it was. It might have been Kirk though, but he was covering a wide receiver up the sideline against the Saints, knocks the ball down, and then Kirk comes and gets an interception. Like these are things that he's shown he can do. So you telling me he can't guard a running back out of the backfield?
Oh,
Of course he can.
he's the best athlete in the NFL today.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
nobody's telling me any like and when I talk about maybe he doesn't test the best out of everybody, but I'm talking
Mm,
about ath- athlete that can actually play at a high level.
mm.
There's no high level player that is a better athlete than Micah Parsons.
Right.
There just isn't, right?
He's
And
an X factor player.
and
Yeah.
and that's the thing, right? Like when Jerry talks about doing more with less, like people look at him and say, "Yo, you're crazy for implying that." But again, this goes back to what we're saying, to where there's things that schematically they can clean up on. That it's like, all right, yeah, they might not be as talented as they were the previous year, but if
Right.
they're doing, let's just say they're more disciplined on defense,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to make up the difference for the personnel, right? Because how many times was it like in a big game, 3rd and 5 in San Francisco, Jaron Kearse jumps off sides?
Mm.
Like we can't have that.
Yeah.
Like big spot.
Or D Law or any of those guys. They all Micah too. They're jumping off sides in crucial moments. They weren't disciplined. So yeah. Um, and we could say we were one of the most talented teams, right? Defensively, but we weren't one of the best defenses. Why
No.
not? Why not? Because of
Uh,
discipline and scheme. So of course we can be better with less, because other teams already were better with less. You know what I mean? So of course we can be. And with a Zimmer, there's no way you can tell me that Zimmer's going to come in here and not get these guys to play at their highest potential, because I've seen him. Zimmer's like people are not paying attention. If Zimmer or Rex Ryan they're both going to take this defense to another level, because neither one of them have ever had what we have right now. Neither one of them. Like we have two starting defensive lines. We have every safety on this team can start anywhere in the league. Every corner on this team right now not every corner. Eric Scott Jr. and Wright, I don't know what they're gonna do. But Jordan Lewis, Izzy Mukwamu, Diggs, Bland, no problem. And Carson as well, the kid that we just drafted. I
I
like him
like
too.
him. I
He
like
has
him.
Devin Weatherspoon type tape. When I watch his tape, I'm like, I did a lot of Weatherspoon tape last year when he was coming out because that was the corner I wanted. And it's crazy. We didn't get him, but we went to the next year and got his prototype because they're the same type of guy. They come
And
down, they'll smack you. Go
he's
ahead.
an outside corner. He's not a slot. He's not
He can do
a slot
both.
corner.
That's why I say he's a
Hey,
Devin Weatherspoon type of
and
guy. He can
and
play
and
anywhere over there. Yeah.
and bro, to be honest with you, this is why like fans don't draft, because
Yeah.
everyone was like, go get a running back. Like Brian Broadus brought this up. All right, the running back you would have drafted there might not even make the team,
Right.
but you draft a corner, which is a premium position, which is
Yeah.
why, like, I every day that goes on, I just love this haul of draft picks even more, because it's like,
Mhm.
damn man, like you addressed with these picks premium positions. So like
Mhm.
left tackle, edge, cornerback, like I think that linebacker and centers are premium positions because of
Yeah.
the responsibilities they have. You
Yeah.
know, you go get a wide receiver with traits. It's
Man, the entire draft this time, last year too, I think. I think we just mismanaged them last year. But this entire draft is exciting. Every player can come in and have an impact like now. Like all of them, even Carson. So I agree. Even Rodgers. Rodgers, even though he was the last pick in our draft anyway, 7th round pick, he's not a 7th round player. He's a 7th
no.
round pick. It's just that for one tech isn't a highly coveted position. And the defensive tackles, the reason he wasn't high rated as a defensive tackle is because they rate all defensive tackles together. But you can say he's a one tech, one of few one techs. He wasn't the lowest rated one tech. He's one of the best one techs out there, top 3 in my opinion. But as far as defensive tackles, yeah, he had a lot of 3 techs that were ahead of him on the board and should have been, if that's what you're looking for, is an upfield guy or a run stopping 3 tech. Yeah, you got that. He's not that. But as far as one techs go, he's one of the best that was out there. And I think he's a player that even from a 7th round perspective can come in and be effective now when you watch his film.
And one thing I'll add to that is, like, when we talk about getting value at certain positions, bro, Tyler Guyton in any other draft is a top 20 pick. It's because the offensive line crop was loaded this year, and
Yeah.
there were 6 quarterbacks that were taken ahead of them, right?
Yeah.
Like, I would love to see Vach's reaction if I asked him this question. Who is a better prospect, Tyler Guyton or Trevor Penning? Tyler Guyton, but
Oh,
Trevor Penning was a top 15 pick in his draft. That's what I'm saying.
well, I'll say this. This is what I'll do, and I got this from Vach, right? I did this to him too on his show. If I looked at, even if you don't like Tyler Guyton, let's just say he was a guy that fell to the 3rd round, right? All right, and you were to pick, or we just traded out of the 1st round for whatever reason. We just
Oh,
weren't in the
I
1st
know
round,
what you're talking about. Yep.
right? If you just said, listen, you have a 2nd round pick and 2 3rd round picks, and your 2nd round pick becomes Guyton or Nealand, and your 3rd round pick is still BB and Guyton or Nealand, whatever, right? If those are your first 3 picks, and you got BB earlier, because BB is one of my favorite. To me, BB is the best guard. It was the best guard in the draft. Graham Barton, I think he was pretty good too. But
He was
BB,
good. Yeah.
yeah, BB is a beast though. So to me, if BB would have went in the 1st round, if we'd have grabbed him at 24, I wouldn't have been mad. I wouldn't have cared. And if you said, "Oh, Guyton's still on the board in the 2nd or 3rd round, we got Guyton in the 3rd," okay, you're still looking at it like, "Damn, this guy's." You would have been excited about him. It's just about where you drafted him. That's what people are mad about. Basically, what I'm saying. Because if you
Yo,
got Guyton in the 3rd round or the 2nd round, then everybody's calling him the steal of the draft, right? Right now, they're saying it because he's a 1st round pick that you don't like him because of that, right? But if you'd have got him in the 3rd round and BB in the 1st, you wouldn't be bitching right now. You know what I
bro,
mean? At
real
all.
quick before I get into my point, that shit with Vach, where he started talking about the school names, That should have me dead.
What I
I was
remember.
cracking.
What was the
He
school
was
name
like
for it?
Southeast Missouri
Oh yeah,
State.
yeah, yeah.
Cracking
Oh
up
yeah, I remember what you're talking about.
because he
Yeah.
said
Southeast,
it, the way
yes,
he said it, his
South.
delivery while
Yeah,
saying it,
yeah, that
had
was
me
funny as shit.
cracking the
I
fuck
thought
up.
you were talking about the end where he was like, well, I was like, yeah, he's a smart killer. He's like, well, I don't know what the fuck you talking about. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yo, it cracked me
What
up,
the fuck are you
bro.
talking about? I was like,
Bro, there
I
was
don't
this.
know, man. But
He,
that's
bro,
because me and Vox, like, we both like gun enthusiasts and shit. So we be talking about that shit all the time. So I was like, we're smart killers and shit. You like, don't ever talk about that in public.
yo.
But we legal though. Like I'm a firearms safety trainer licensed, right? I really train people on firearms, but people just don't know that because it's not my job. You know what I mean?
I gotta bring this up. Yo, Vach is the most quick-witted comedian. Like,
he's a funny ass boy.
When he said Foots was like, it was during the draft show. I think Vach was talking about like, I don't play the I'm right game anymore. And then Foots was like, yeah, I'm trying to stop that as well. And Vach was saying something along the lines of like, I forget what he said, but he was like,
can't even get the joke out, man.
Because I forget what he said. He's like, oh, that won't last long.
No, yeah, that won't last long. No, that's facts. Because Foots got to be right. Yeah,
and then the breaking news thing during the did you see the breaking news thing during the stream? When
no, I didn't watch it.
Bro, this shit had me so dead.
I'm going to watch it now that you say it because
like,
I want to know what you're talking about now.
He was like, breaking news, guys. The Cowboys couldn't trade back in the draft. And Vach and Sky were like, that's not breaking news. And then, bro, what's even hilarious is if you go and listen to the day 2 stream that they had, Foot spins the block and he's like, breaking news, guys. Dane Brugler.
You don't do comedy, bro. Because I swear, every time you try to get the joke out, you start breaking down before we even get to it. I'm like, get to the punchline, get to the chopper. You cannot get there, bro.
All right, I'll get there. He's like, breaking news, guys. Dane Brugler ranked our draft really well. Like he had really high grades on the players that we drafted. And Sky and Vach were like, yo, don't be a news anchor. This ain't breaking news.
Yeah, that ain't breaking news.
Oh man, but what I meant to say was that like that's why I don't like necessarily pay attention to where these guys get drafted. I just pay attention to the haul that we got, right? So like when you look at 2022, right? If you were to shuffle those picks around where you say, yeah, we got Tyler in the first, we got Jake in the second, we got Deron Bland in the third, then we got Tolbert, or we got Sam Williams in the fourth, then we got Damone and Tolbert in the fifth. That doesn't look, but it's like, hey, pay attention to the haul as a whole. Because that, to me, by far, one of the most underrated drafts that this team has ever had. Because you talk about two guys who are all pros. Jake Ferguson's going to be an all pro. There's no doubt about it. Maybe it's not this year. He's going to be an all pro. We'll see what happens with Sam and Tolbert. But even if they're just like contributing role players, with the haul that you got 2 all pros, a guy who could be an all pro, and 2 contributors to your team. Bro, that's an A+ draft right there.
Yeah.
That is it. And this is the type of thing. That's why I don't fall in love with draft grades. I don't do draft grades, to be honest with you, because I want to see these guys play, and that's why, like, when you go back and grade some of the drafts that the Cowboys had, 2022 to me was A+. And like, if the Cowboys do end up winning a Super Bowl here in the next few years, that 2022 draft is going to be the catalyst of it all, because you talk about the players that we drafted in that draft on top of the undrafted free agents. Marquise Bell, I think he was in there. Wanye Thomas is a guy. TJ was 2023.
Right.
I think there was another guy in there from that draft class. I was going to say Peyton Hendershot, but he's not going to be on this team. He's not going to be on the team next year.
Nah, he's not going to be on the team because of that kid, that undrafted kid. What's his name?
John Steve. Bro, that's what I'm talking about.
John Stevens.
Him too. Brevin Spanford.
Yeah.
Yo, and this is what I talked about earlier. with the 12 and 13 personnel sets, bro. If you can do a better job running an offense out of your 12 and 13 personnel sets, which I think they'll be able to do. I think Schoonmaker is going to be better this year.
Well, he got no choice either. Like,
you
can say that about I think the entire 2023 draft class will be better this year.
I think DeMarvion
That ain't like you just said. That ain't breaking news, and that ain't a hot take, son. You know what I'm saying? That shit is automatic.
Hey, DeMarvion Overshown will be better though. I'm telling you this right now.
I'm telling you right now.
Breaking news: DeMarvion Overshown. Or no.
Damone Clark is going to be much better this season. Like, come on, man.
Hot take. DeMarvion Overshown will have a better season this year.
Yeah. 100%.
Hey, make sure to track my wins when that happens.
I'll be mad when people have channels and that's all they say is shit like that. Like, this is all you really have a channel. This is all you're gonna tell me is this? Like, we know this already, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if some people have channels and that's all they talk about is like shit that you automatically know that's gonna happen.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Well, I love the channels where it's like every player in the NFL is a good player. Like this guy will take over the league and stuff like that.
Well, that's because every player in the NFL is actually a good player.
True. Yeah.
They are actually okay.
Yeah,
they're the best of the best. So I guess, I think that's why they look at it like that. They're
except
like,
Josh Ball. Josh Ball is not. Josh Ball does not.
Yeah. Josh Ball. I don't know what Josh Ball. No, it's not Josh Ball. It's the other one. Alarcon, the dude from Mexico that we had for as the international player. I'm like, hey, no, bro.
But DJ Dog, I didn't say that Ferguson was an all-pro. I'm just saying that I think that he has the potential to be an all-pro. That's all. I'm saying.
Ferguson is going to be one of the top tight ends in the league if Dak, keeps using him the way he did last year. No doubt about that. But Spanford or whatever his name is.
Yeah, Spanford. Yeah.
Spanford. The traits on that guy.
Hey, and this is what we talk about. Like when we talk about being more physical, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, think about it, bro.
Brian Broaddus. Oh yeah.
Go before you do Broaddus. I just told you what the offensive line can do healthy. I didn't say shit about having two tight ends that can also block with a healthy offensive line too. Like, and they can receive. You know what I mean? Like, that's not even fair. And then we still got Hunter Lipke on this team too. So you got sets where you can come out with two extra tight ends. And then also Lipke in the backfield as a lead blocker for Zeke. Zeke hasn't seen that since we had what's that dude Smith? What was it, Kevin Smith or whatever his name was? What was the fullback's name that we had before Kellen Moore? Like, we got rid of all the fullbacks, but Zeke had fullbacks back in the day. You know what I mean? Like, we haven't had that. So having a power running scheme with a fullback and two tight ends that can block plus a healthy offensive line, I'm excited to see that. Now, if they shit the bed, they shit the bed. But, that doesn't mean it's not exciting on paper, because it damn sure is.
Hey, and Broaddus talks about this all the time. Two of the reasons why the Cowboys' run game wasn't up to snuff last year is because of their center and point of attack blocking at the tight end position. And man, you address that. And that's the thing. That's why I'm so optimistic about this damn team, is because I wanted this team to be tougher. I wanted this team to get tougher. And in this draft, you can't tell me that they didn't make a conscious effort to be tougher. Even that Carson kid, as a cornerback, he is a tough cornerback. His Instagram handle is walking seatbelt. Mm-hmm. And when you saw him get drafted, when somebody gets drafted and the first words that they're saying when they get drafted is fuck you talking about? Stop playing with me. I know you got that dog in you. You know what I'm saying? Did you see that? His Instagram video.
No, I see it. It's just your reaction to it is funny.
He's got the screen and he's like,
I can just see the cops asking you, so what did the assailant say to you when he accosted you? He said, fuck you talking about.
Fuck you talking about. Stop playing with me.
Say it again.
Yeah, hold up. Fuck you talking about. Stop playing with me. Let me see if I can pull that up. Let me see if I can pull that up.
That's crazy.
Yo, because that shit had me dying.
Yo, you got me dying, bro.
Kalen Carson. IG live. Oh man, because yo, he was legitimately hype. Yo, this shit had me dying. Yo, I'm such a fan of his, man. I'm
Yeah, for
such a
sure.
fan
No,
of.
I watched his game. Like I said, Devin Weatherspoon traits, man. He's all over the place. He comes down. He's smart. He was a wide receiver, so he has those traits as well. But he can hit. So he'll help in the running game right away. He looks like Devin Weatherspoon to me, a guy that could play inside or outside, could play press man, smart, can play off ball if he wants to, can play cover 3 if he wants to. So Bull can do anything he wants to do. I think like Carson's going to be a guy that surprises a lot of the fans, but he's not going to surprise me. I think he's a Devin Weatherspoon type. You know what I mean?
Hey,
but I don't think he plays this year because I think Jordan Lewis, Diggs, and Bland are going to man those positions.
So here's that video. Let me pull it up because that shit is hilarious. All right, here we go.
I've been doing this shit, man. Come on. Stop playing with me. Come on, man. Stop playing with me, man. Come on. I've been doing this shit. I've been doing this shit.
He scared you when he started talking this. Like, yo, stop playing with me.
Yo, that's the type of reaction I love to see, though, man.
Yeah, he do sound crazy though. So I like that though. You want a corner that's like not scared, that got short memory and is evil. So I like him. I like all of our corners though. I like all of them. I don't think he plays this year though, not much.
That's fine, but that's fine.
But give him to Al Harris and let Al Harris work with him. Hopefully we don't have any injuries that force him to have to step up early. But I think he's another Bland type of guy, still that is better than advertised, right? So that's good for the future. For the future, we good.
And here's the thing, though, like when it comes to the Cowboys and the cornerback room, bro, like, when we talk about position coaches in the NFL, Al Harris is one of the best position coaches in football, right? Like people talk about the Eagles and their offensive line coach with Stoutland, and shout out to him. Like I'm no hate whatsoever. He does a fantastic job. The same thing over here, though, with our quarterbacks. Like, people get a little overboard with the Al Harris should have been the defensive coordinator. I think I don't think that people understand the difference between what Al Harris does and what a defensive coordinator does. Al Harris teaches technique. Offensive or defensive coordinators put together schemes and call plays. It's just a completely different level of responsibility. But what is it? I got you, Akoye. Yeah, no, like I think that if you give a guy like Al Harris a player like this, you're going to get a great return on your investment. And that's one thing that when it comes to drafting, right? When you have good position coaches, you want to keep giving them investment pieces because you're going to get good return on your investment. You're going to continue to add good players to your football team.
This is why I said, I was happy about something this offseason. For me, I don't know why people were mad. We got rid of Durday and we got rid of Quinn. Because to me, when you look at linebacker, our linebacker position, the linebacker room went backwards. We already had linebackers when Quinn got here that were questionable to us, and Jalen Smith and LVE. They were okay, but they were like C+ players. You know what I mean? They could be better, right? We got worse at linebacker under Quinn. We didn't develop not one linebacker, not one. Our defensive line, we drafted a bunch of defensive linemen that all had great traits. Chauncey, Osa, Micah, all these guys. Sam Williams, D-Law. Not one lineman got better under Durday. Not one got better under Durday. So they didn't know how to develop shit. Neither one of them. So when you look at Al Harris, though, the entire secondary got better under Al Harris. So yeah, you're right when you say that position coaches are your life's blood, because if you have the right position coaches that can get the best out of those players at those positions, then you can draft guys like Fred Warner in the 3rd round and he becomes Fred Warner. You know what I mean? because you got guys that can bring that out of them. And I think we got that now. I think I trust Gunther. I trust the other guy with the James Bond face, big dude, Zagna, whatever his name is.
Okay.
Yeah, I trust him, and I trust Zimmer. I don't know about the rest of the staff as far as, you know, our linebacker coaches go and all that, but I know we have the right people in the building that know the position well enough to make sure it's played right. And we got the right players now in the room to actually execute that. So to me, we're going to be okay when it comes to developing players moving forward on the defensive side of the ball, at least. And even when they talk about Scolari and the offensive line and all that, like you said, Scolari only drafted Awesome Richards. He didn't get anybody else to play with, you know. So and Schottenheimer didn't get any running backs. You know, he didn't inherit any running backs. He drafted Deuce Vaughn, and he didn't get to use him either. This will be the first year that they deploy their scheme and what they want to actually look like. And I think a lot of people are going to be surprised because you're taking guys on the offensive side of the ball, and Scolari and Schottenheimer, who are run first guys, and you're coupling them with a passing quarterback, a quarterback that can all quarterbacks pass. What the fuck is that? But
a passing quarterback is wild.
You know, it's late. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you know it's late. So you couple him with an offense that already was very effective in the air is what I meant. But I think a lot of people are going to be surprised.
Hey, I know you got to watch this Canelo fight, bro. So
yeah, that's why I'm trying to get out of here. I was like,
hey, we appreciate you guys for hopping out. Make sure to subscribe to both of our channels. Make sure to hit the like button as well. You know, it's crazy. I got to start doing that during the stream, telling everybody to hit the like button. Make sure to follow Akoye. Everyone knows where to follow him. Subscribe to Akoye.
Jay Bryant said, breaking news. I think Akoye is talking about the draft. Like,
oh, man.
What you talk about, man?
Make sure to check me out as well. Cowboys Beat on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all that.
Yeah. You got to make that a sound bite. Take Carson's sound bite.
Oh yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Definitely, I'm doing that because I got sound bites right here. Like, you know, if one of my females gets on me, I'm just like,
shut up, bitch.
Oh, I will say that to those who don't know. Should I say it? Can I say that live?
What's that?
I don't know. You might. You might.
No, go ahead. Yeah,
Chris got some hoes, man. I will say that. That's one thing you got, bro. Like, yo, I know Philly, bro, but I'm like, Chris got some hoes, man. So, you like me when I was young. See, I'm chilling now. You know what I mean? I'm engaged and all that. I'm chilling, but I'm like, yo, you be out here, bro.
Hey, man, I'll never get upset with people knowing that. You know what I'm saying?
I know, like, tell me, because you might have one that's like, he got a what?
Oh,
like,
no.
But no, she might be at home watching right now, like,
oh, hell no.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to snitch on you. You know what I mean?
No, I'm single shit. Oh man.
All right, bro. I'm like, what? Like, yo, that's you? You're like, yeah. Like, oh, shit.
Yo, where can I watch the Canelo fight? Is it on pay-per-view?
Yeah, it's on pay-per-view.
Oh shit. Yeah. I ain't trying to pay for that view though.
Yeah, what, $80? I already paid for it, ain't watched none of it and shit. So you know, that's how you know I wanted to do this show, because I paid for the fight and I ain't watching none of that shit. So but I'm out though, man. I gotta talk to y'all in a minute. I'm gonna go try to at least salvage the last bit of my bread. Talk to y'all in a minute, man.
All right, bro. All right,